know what I need to be union recruit.
Okay.
I don't think I'm gonna actually fit any of the restrictions, but you know, it's nice to dream. All
It's
right.
okay. You know, we have a job for you.
I'm sure you do. Well, it was really a pleasure to talk to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Thanks.
Good having you.
Thanks. And that's a wrap on this LA Currents.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Tomorrow is Transgender Day of Visibility, held annually on March 31st. Transgender Day of Visibility is a time to celebrate the transgender and non-binary community and any individual's courage to live open and authentic lives. Although we are emerging from a nightmarish 4 years of national leadership that practiced scapegoating on a massive scale at the very top. And as we continue to endure a once-in-a-century global pandemic, it may feel difficult to reflect on and pivot to the positive. But we must, we can, and we should. There is so much to celebrate. So why do we celebrate this special day? We must elevate the visibility of this community in order to move past entrenched societal prejudices. In the past year, there have been some amazing accomplishments from the community. In the 2020 general election, voters elected 6 transgender candidates to statewide office. Openly trans candidates were elected or re-elected in Arkansas, California, Colorado, Delaware, Illinois, Kansas, New Hampshire, and Vermont. The LGBTQ Victory Fund reports that the total number of transgender elected officials nationwide jumped from an existing 28 to 32. That is progress. At the federal level, President Biden overturned the ban on transgender individuals serving in the military, another victory for visibility and inclusivity for all transgender people, and a repudiation of policies rooted in hate and ignorance. President Biden has even made history by nominating Dr. Rachel Levine as the first ever transgender cabinet level member. Now confirmed by the Senate, Dr. Levine will be the highest ranking openly transgender person to serve in United States government, serving as the Assistant Secretary for Health to California's own Javier Becerra. These wins are a signal that transgender people are gaining acceptance on a national level in our political arenas. And locally, here in Los Angeles, we have outstanding leaders who have their fingers on the pulse of the thriving transgender community in our city. Today, I am literally thrilled to share with you this year's Trans Day of Visibility honorees, Hopics at Casa de Zulema and Invisible Men. In just a moment, we'll spotlight how they are making a difference in the lives of the trans community throughout the city of Los Angeles. We'll also hear from our great city ally, Capri Maddox, General Manager of the Civil plus Human Rights and Equity Department, who works very closely with our Transgender Advisory Council, and its chairwoman, Karina Samala, who has also joined us today. To help introduce the chairwoman, it is my pleasure and honor to welcome a dear and treasured friend and fierce advocate for the LGBTQ+ community, Los Angeles Police Department Assistant Chief Beatrice Girmala. Chief Girmala, take it away.
Thank you so much, Councilmember O'Farrell. Thank you for allowing me this privilege. So every once in a while, life gives you the gift of having somebody come into your world that makes it better and makes you better as a human being. That person, for me, approximately 14 years ago, was Mother Karina Samala. A leader, an icon, a treasure. The leadership that Karina shows not only to the transgender community, but the entire LGBTQ community and all those who count themselves in as allies, not only for the fights of yesterday, but the fight still that we must endure for future equality. I consider it a privilege to have this opportunity to give this preface to her introduction. I must add also that, Karina, I owe you so many debts of gratitude for being one of the best teachers. I affectionately call Karina my professor because she taught me so much more about the community, the trials, the tribulations, the quiet victories, and sadly, sometimes the quiet despair. And she has been that beacon of light for us all. It is absolutely my pleasure and privilege to introduce my friend and the iconic Mother Karina Samala.
Thank you so very much, Chief Grimala and Council Member Mitch Farrell, for your leadership and support for our community, which I call my family. Each year, you have lifted up our community by hosting this event and highlighting our challenges and our collective achievements. And while we can't meet in person quite yet, providing this opportunity to my community proves your unwavering dedication, and that I thank you so much. I'm here today to represent the City of Los Angeles Transgender Advisory Council and all the transgender and gender non-binary community members. The TAC is an advisory council made up of transgender and non-binary persons determined to support and advocate for equitable policies and legislation which tackle the issues that matter most to our community. I would like to acknowledge our TAC members, leaders of our community, who is members of this TAC: Gia Olais, James Nguyen, Jasmine Creighton, Maria Roman, Lucky Alexander, Sabel Simon Loreca, Tiana Herrera, and Eden Luna. We are proud of our achievements, and I'm personally humbled by our deeply talented and thoughtful council that have placed their trust in me to continue to be a fierce advocate for our community. We are particularly grateful for the partnership we have forged with the Civil and Human Rights and Equity Department under the leadership of Madam Director Capri Maddox. With her support and the support of the council member Mitch Farrell, we have been able to advocate for the full funding of AB 2218, the Transgender Wellness and Equity Fund, which will provide medical, mental health, and housing for our community. The expanded and street-level outreach to our community during the pandemic by the Midnight Stroll. And we have also been able to work with City Personnel Department to develop a transgender and gender diverse inclusivity training that will be made available to all city employees. We have all straightened and continued to advocate for the safety of our community. And in doing so, we have developed a deep partnership with LAPD through our amazing guardian angel, Chief B. Grimala. Thank you. On behalf of the Transgender Advisory Council, I want to thank the General Manager Capri Maddox, TAC Coordinator Francisco Ortega, for ensuring that we continue to thrive and remain engaged. Remember, everyone, to wear your mask and please get vaccinated. Thank you, and happy Transgender Day of Visibility. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mother Karina, for your lovely remarks just now and all that you do. You exemplify such great leadership because you share it with your whole team and you uplift and highlight the great volunteerism and collaboration that it takes to make real change, and you exhibit that in your own volunteerism, and we look up to you. Your tireless work has inspired an entire generation of transgender individuals, kept them safe, shown them love and respect, and guided them to their best lives. And now, let's take a moment for the members of the TAC, the Transgender Advisory Council, to introduce themselves to us. We have a video.
We are the Los Angeles Transgender Advisory Council.
The purpose of the TAC is to advise the mayor, city council, elected officials, and governmental agencies on how to implement policy, programs, and projects that tackle the issues that matter the most to the transgender community in Los Angeles.
We are community-led.
We are project-based.
And we are policy-oriented.
Hello, my name is Karina Samala. I'm the chair of the Transgender Advisory Council. My pronouns are she and her. We're here to stay. We need to be respected.
Hello, my name is Eden Anay Luna, and my pronouns are they and them. The transgender and non-binary communities need your support because the youth and our future is fluid.
Hello, my name is Lucky Alexander, and my pronouns are he, him, and Superman. I think it is important that my community is visible because trans men exist too.
Hi, my name is Maria Roman, and my pronouns are she, hers, hers. I think it is important that my community is visible because our lives depend on it, and our future is trans-led.
Hello, my name is James Wen, and my pronouns are he, him, and his. I choose to serve my community because our courageous voice and resilience transforms the world.
My name is Jasmine Creighton, and my pronouns are genderful and gender fierce. I feel it's important that we are visible because our lives matter.
And we will not be erased.
So, everyone out there, let's hear it once more for the entire Advisory Council. Members Karina Samala, our chair, Jasmine Creighton, Alexander Lucky Fuller, otherwise known as Superman, Tiana Herrera, Eden Anay Luna, Gia Ryan Olais, Maria Roman, Sabel Simone Lareca, and James Wen. Our next speaker is the Madame herself, Capri Maddox. Capri, when Karina called you Madame, that might just stick. So now I have to think of you differently. So Capri is our friend, our ally, general manager of the Civil and Human Rights and Equity Department, a lifelong resident of Los Angeles, and graduate of Cal State LA. Capri has served the city of Los Angeles for nearly 30 years with the Board of Public Works, Office of the City Attorney, LAUSD, and more. In 2020, Capri was tapped by Mayor Eric Garcetti to lead the new Civil Rights Department. In this role, she is launching a discrimination enforcement arm, leading on equity and empowerment and supporting human and civil rights commissions in the city, including the Transgender Advisory Council. I am pleased and honored to introduce our friend, General Manager Capri Maddox.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Mitchell Farrell, for that lovely, warm introduction, and to Karina for my new name. Definitely anything that Karina does is definitely cherished by our department, and she continues to lift people up everywhere she goes. And it is truly an honor to have her as a friend in the fight for justice with the Civil Rights Department. Definitely, Councilmember Mitchell Farrell, just want to thank you for your continued leadership in supporting LA's diverse communities, and just for standing up wherever there's a need for strong leadership. We appreciate you and celebrate you. I wanted to do a special thank you to Mother Karina Samala and the entire Transgender Advisory Council for making today a success. It is an honor to work with you on this council as we serve Los Angeles's transgender communities. Today is a day of celebration of transgender lives, and this celebration is needed now more than ever. We have seen a lot of pain in this past year. The transgender community in Los Angeles continues to face violence, discrimination, and inequities. but this community is strong. This community is resilient. And this community should be proud of how far they've come. We may not be where we want to be, but we sure aren't where we used to be. As Councilmember Mitchell Farrell mentioned, transgender individuals reach new highs this year, including the highest levels of government. And the transgender community in Los Angeles can be very proud that this city was one of the first in the nation to establish a transgender advisory council. And much of that credit goes to Mayor Eric Garcetti, Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell, who's been a champion and a fighter in this space, and of course, our very own beloved mother, Karina Samala, who also
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this special meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee of the Los Angeles City Council. Today is April 27th, 2021, and I'm Paul Krikorian, Chair of the committee, and we're ready to begin consideration of the Mayor's proposed budget for fiscal year 2021-2022. Before we begin, I'd like to ask that we call the roll and establish a quorum.
Krikorian.
Here.
Blumenfield. Councilmember Blumenfield. De Leon.
Here.
Rodriguez. Price. 5 members present and a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Thank you very much. This marks the beginning of what will be a several-week-long process of the Council's review, this committee's review of the Mayor's proposed budget, and this is unlike any previous year that we've considered the Mayor's budget, because we're doing it still in the era of the COVID pandemic, and so we're doing this virtually for the first time. I'm here at the John Ferraro Council Chambers, and members with minimal staff and members and presenters will be doing so, will be participating virtually, which is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but we'll work our way through it as we go. And speaking of challenges, this is, of course, still one of the most challenging times that the city has faced in terms of establishing a budget, because of the extraordinary uncertainty around our economy and the state of our recovery. It certainly is much there's certainly many more opportunities now, I think, for a much smoother process, thanks to the federal government's American Rescue Plan funding to replace some of the revenues that we've lost. But there is still a great deal that we're going to have to try to work through as we move through this budget. So I want to welcome everyone's participation. We have spent, over the course of the last week, at the Council President's direction, I and every member of this committee have attended various listening sessions around the city, along with members of the Council who are not members of this committee as well, so that we had an opportunity to hear extensively from stakeholders in every part of the city. In addition to that, most of today will be devoted to hearing from the public. We'll start the day off with a presentation from the Mayor's budget team about the proposed budget, and then the rest of the day until 5 o'clock today will be spent hearing from members of the public. I'd like to remind the members of the public that as this is a special meeting and there is only one item on the agenda, the proposed budget, comment will be limited to that context. There will not be general public comment on areas outside of the Mayor's proposed budget. In addition, there will be other opportunities for comment after today. We'll have another session of public comment on May 6th, and then again, after this committee makes its recommendations to Council, there will be another opportunity for comment in full Council before Council decides on this committee's recommendations. We may, if time allows, try to find additional opportunities to be able to implement further comment. This is sometimes a work in progress as we move forward with our schedule, depending on how long departmental review takes. So I would urge all of the members of the public who wish to continue to participate in this process to sign up for this committee's agendas at cityclerk.lacity.org, so that you can continue to stay up to date on exactly what's happening on any given day. So with that, before we begin hearing from the Mayor's budget team, I would like to acknowledge although I've welcomed them to the committee before, I do want to acknowledge Councilmember Rodriguez and Councilmember De Leon, who today will be beginning their first full budget hearing as members of this committee. I want to welcome you to this process, and as I do that, I also want to thank for their long years of service Councilmember Bonin and Councilmember Koretz, who served so ably for many years on this committee as well as their predecessors. So with that, before we hear from the Mayor's budget team, if there are any members who wish to comment before we start, you're welcome to at this time, or else I can turn it over to the Mayor's budget team. And as the Mayor's budget team is getting ready, I'd like to also ask our clerk to go ahead and read instructions about calling into this meeting for members of the public to participate.
Thank you. Members of the public wishing to offer public comment on today's agenda should call 1-669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 160-655-3266 and then press pound. Press pound again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted into the meeting, press *9 to request to speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'd like next to call on Councilmember Price.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to thank you for convening this budget meeting today and for putting together the community listening sessions that occurred throughout the city over the past week or so. We had the South LA session last night, and I believe, Mr. Chair, that South LA had the strongest turnout of any region, and I'm very proud of that. People who normally would not engage in this process are speaking out, and I just want to let them know that I hear you, that we hear you. Our city is being challenged with seeking solutions to repair generations of damage caused by long-standing effects of inequality, racial, and social injustices. Last year, we made a down payment on reinvesting in our communities. And I believe this budget affords us the opportunity to continue on that promise. So I look forward to working with you and my other colleagues in our departments to bring forward an equitable and just budget. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Price. All right, I see no other hands, so I think we can go ahead and begin with the Mayor's budget team. If you'd like to go ahead and begin your presentation.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Matt Szabo, Deputy Chief of Staff to Mayor Eric Garcetti. I'm here with Deputy Mayor Gene Holm, Deputy Chief of Staff Andre Herndon, the Mayor's Budget Director Raul Mendoza, and Executive Officer Kiana Tahiri. And we'll be going through a brief presentation and we'll be available to answer any of the questions that you have. We will try to get through the presentation as quickly as possible. There is a lot in this budget, so we do want to give it the time that it deserves, given the many aspects of this recovery justice budget. We can go to the first slide. So the budget priorities and what we'll lay out today are as follows. To the extent that 2020 was in almost every way a year of survival, literal survival from the pandemic, financial survival, economic survival. This budget is a recovery budget. There will be some investments that we're able to make that we otherwise would not have been able to make given federal aid. There are some investments that we need to make to get our city back on strong economic and financial footing. We also, the mayor paid special attention to making sure that as we recover, we have an equitable and just recovery. You will see significant investments in equity and justice, in housing and homelessness. We are looking to not just recover from COVID, restore city services to pre-pandemic levels, but to do it equitably, with justice in mind, and while presenting a financially sound document bolstering the city's financial health for the long term. We can go to the next slide. So the budget that we are presenting to you today is $11.2 billion total budget. $6.6 billion in general fund revenue, the basic general fund revenue that we count on year in and year out. We are also counting on the second tranche of the American Rescue Plan aid to cities and states as part of our general fund budget. And we are assuming it, that, as we will discuss, as the CAO and CLA will discuss, is not without risk. But we do feel we're in a very strong position given the tremendous revenue loss that we suffered during COVID, that we will be able to take all of that money in as general fund revenue for a total general fund spending plan of $7.3 billion. With that spending plan, we are proposing a 9.5% reserve fund. And together with other reserves and the Budget Stabilization Fund, our overall reserves will be 11.3%. We feel very strongly that those reserves, we should have high reserves in this very unusual year, given the uncertainty that we still continue to face as it relates to our COVID recovery and other issues. Next slide, please. You'll see significant investments in this budget on direct COVID recovery, over $143 million. Some of the investments that we've included is continued funding for our mobile vaccination program, scaling that up, making sure that we're able to reach into the most vulnerable neighborhoods to make sure that they have access to the vaccines as we finally recover from COVID. We're going to continue funding for the LA Alfresco program to make sure our restaurants can continue the revenue that they've been realizing and enjoying from that program. We're also proposing a $25 million small business and restaurant recovery fund that could offer micro grants to businesses reopening as we emerge from the pandemic. And we're also due in large part to the significant amount of general fund revenue that we derive from hotel taxes. We are investing in targeted marketing efforts to bring back tourism as our economy opens up, so that we can fill our hotels and realize that revenue that we lost such a large portion of over the course of the pandemic. Next slide. So as we sought to restore the restoration portion of this budget, we really looked at the departments and sought to restore service levels to what we would consider pre-pandemic levels of service. There are two exceptions, which I'll get to in a moment, but for most of our general funded or our city departments, our non-LAPD city departments, we will see significant increases. What you don't see on this chart, we have the Board of Public Works has increased by, we're proposing that an increase of almost 60% with additional investments in petroleum administrator and climate action. Cultural affairs, we're proposing a 33% increase. Street services, you see a 22% increase. The average increase to departments, again, thanks to a recovery on economic recovery and the infusion of the ARP, is about 9% across the board. Two notable exceptions. One is the Los Angeles Police Department. We're proposing a year-over-year reduction of 5% for LAPD. That comes in the form of three main reductions. We are proposing a lower number of officers than we had at the beginning of fiscal 2021. We started fiscal 2021 with 9,991 officers. We're proposing a lower level of 9,750. We're also proposing a lower level of overtime, a reduction of nearly $60 million. And we're also, as Raul will talk about in a moment, did have a separation incentive program in which we essentially paid employees to retire as a way of saving money during the survival year of 2021. And LAPD had a significant loss of civilians, 269 civilians that took that retirement program. And so there are savings associated with that. And then just generally, as I said, we tried to restore back to pre-pandemic levels of service. The one area where, and you will hear this from general managers that will be coming to you asking for more positions, the one area where we did have to hold the line was the area of employees lost to the separation incentive program, where we actually and literally paid people to retire. And we don't believe, and we're not proposing that forfeiting those savings would be recommended, given that we are paying this year and next year for those employees to take retirement.
And so on the separation incentive program and how we handled that in the budget, our approach was, instead of outright just deleting the positions, we provided departments flexibility and really put the decision-making or shared in the decision-making with them on how to prioritize and let them provide alternatives to be deleted instead of those positions. So if there was an assistant general manager or multiple assistant general managers, we gave them flexibility to provide alternatives. We did restore some positions in smaller departments. Where if a department had something like a 30% SIP participation rate, we wanted to make sure that those that were more severely impacted had some level of restoration. We also restored kind of high return revenue generating positions, particularly in the Office of Finance and traffic officers and DOT. But some of the other considerations as we took that approach, the vacancy rates, I think some departments have indicated a desire both to us and now in their letters to bring back many of these positions. But I think what we would say is we're strongly encouraging departments to focus on the vacancy rates. Getting an average vacancy rate of 18% down to something more reasonable is going to take some time. Some have also asked for unfunded positions. The truth is we could probably, with the one-time money from ARP, afford positions this year, but it goes against our financial policies in funding new positions or restoration of positions with one-time funding. So our approach wasn't just about saving money this year, but really about the long-term structural savings from the program. And we feel like adding unfunded positions would add to our structural deficit. Another area we just wanted to cover the capital and technology improvement expenditure program. After your committee and the full council adopted the updated financial policies, that actually included adding technology as part of the traditional capital program. And this is the first year that we've included that as a standalone in the budget. So this year there's $47 million covering, projects that are sort of core operational updates, things like our human resources payroll project, public safety technology infrastructure upgrades, LA tax upgrades, so kind of the basic core functions. And then looking for some efficiencies in our asset management, information and asset management through sanitation, street lighting, street services, and DOT. And then also looking at broadband and digital infrastructure. So Gene will touch a little bit more on the digital inclusion money that was included to bridge the digital divide, and then also funding Wi-Fi over at the zoo. Again, going back to some of the more traditional capital improvements, there will be a lot of things that we'll talk about in terms of investments, but we certainly didn't miss out on investing in our capital and our infrastructure. So in the municipal facilities, our city buildings, parks, yards, open spaces, nearly triple what we budgeted last fiscal year, or this fiscal year. For physical plant, the stormwater, street lights, street improvements, also nearly triple the 2021 funding level. Some other areas in infrastructure with sidewalk repairs and tree planting, we're continuing to meet our $31 million annual obligation, but we're also bringing back the acceleration program and doing an extra $15 million to speed up sidewalk repairs. As part of the sidewalk repair program, there is some money for tree planting, $400,000, but we've also added $4 million for additional tree plants beyond what normally happens as part of the sidewalk repair program. Vision Zero and safety, basically an increased 50% increase in priority corridor projects, total $66 million. Increased funding for traffic signals, pedestrian safety improvements, and speed humps, we've also increased funding. And then on the right, street repair and maintenance, we've maintained the funding for our pavement preservation program and failed streets, and we've done increases in alley paving and median island maintenance.
So as I mentioned, Mr. Chairman, the mayor feels very strongly and has proposed a very substantial reserve fund, 9.5% in our reserve fund, our base reserve fund, 11.3% overall reserves. The reason that we have proposed such a high reserve fund is basically because of uncertain revenues and because of known costs. The revenues that we're projecting for over the course of the year are economically sensitive revenues. We are making our very best projections, but as we saw this year, we are still recovering from a pandemic. There's a level of uncertainty whether those revenues will come in as projected. We think they are strong and conservative projections that we made together with the CAO's office, but we can't predict, as we saw this year, what could happen, whether there could be another wave, whether there could be other issues that prevent that recovery from being as robust as we hope that it is. We also, as I said in the very beginning, are relying on the use of the entirety of the American Rescue Plan dollars. To date, we haven't received $1 from the federal government. That is owed to us, we believe, based on the legislation, by May 10th. We also, although we have been working again together with the CAO's office with Washington to try to get more clear guidance as to how those dollars can be used, and we feel very good that the way we're proposing to use those dollars is consistent with the legislation. We have yet to receive guidance on the use of those dollars. And then, of course, there are known costs. One of the benefits of this budget, or one of the aspects that this budget benefits from, is that all of our partners in labor, all of them, agreed to defer any of their raises that they had coming this year. We know what those costs are going to be, and those costs come due over the next 2 fiscal years. All of those raises together add up to $222 million of additional costs that will come due in the coming years, in the coming 2 years. And when we do labor deals and we come to you year after year, and then we say, well, we made this deal, we provided this cost of living adjustment, and it's going to cause deficits here and there. It's going to put downward pressure on city services. We want to correct for that because we know what these costs are going to be. We want to appropriately fund for them in the coming year. So again, just the amount between our last year's reserve and the reserve that we're proposing, the 1920 reserve and the reserve we're proposing, is basically the same amount that we know we have coming due in terms of the cost of living adjustments over the next 2 fiscal years. I think Andre is going to take this next section.
Yes, thank you, Matt. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, and all the members of the committee for having this conversation today. As Matt mentioned, we really looked at this budget through an equity and justice lens, and the mayor really challenged us to look at initiatives and ideas that touch 5 key areas of our recovery from COVID and serving the community. And those 5 areas are economic justice and opportunity, racial and social justice, reimagining public safety, equitable neighborhood investments and opportunities for young people. So I'm going to run through as quickly as I can some of the programs and initiatives that fall under those categories. The first one is Big Leap, which at this level of funding would be the largest guaranteed basic income pilot demonstration in the country. There's a very strong design and research component, but what it comes down to is $1,000 a month for a period of 1 year, going to a total of 2,000 households in every city council district to people living at or below the poverty line who've been medically and or financially affected by COVID and are supporting at least one minor. And with the programs led by Councilmember Price and others, we'll see a number that goes well north of 30 million and will touch even more people. Clean LA. Like everyone in this meeting, the mayor wants to do everything we can to get our city cleaned up. And so Clean LA marries that mission to our goal of bringing more disconnected folks into the workforce by hiring 200 people from high barrier populations to clean up public rights of way, and in a program that puts them on a path to civil service careers and other opportunities. Next slide, please. The Angelino Corps. I like to think of this as a Peace Corps or AmeriCorps for our city. It would give 400 students an opportunity to earn a stipend and a scholarship for a year of service in 4 areas that are critical to our recovery from the pandemic and will always be important to our communities. The first is a Health Equity Corps that covers community-based wellness and environmental justice, a Youth Development Corps that covers education and mentorship, a Dream Corps that covers services to immigrants, and a Future Corps that's focused on closing the digital divide or internet inequality. LA Optimized, I think we're all familiar with that program. This funding would allow it to serve 1,000 more businesses as they look to strengthen their digital presence in a marketplace that's been transformed by COVID and help them catch up with larger businesses and stay competitive. Next one. LA Rise, again, a program we all know and love, providing job opportunities to people who've experienced homelessness and giving more resources to that program. Next one. This is LA Repair Innovation Fund. It stands for Reforms for Equity and Public Acknowledgement of Institutional Racism. What this is about is empowering people who live in parts of the city where structural and institutional racism have had very profound and undeniable effects. There will be a process to submit and vet ideas and then vote on them to be funded with grants to bring life to programs that take on racial justice and reconciliation, job creation, and really a grassroots approach to service delivery. Next one. Peace and Healing Centers, just about giving our community a place to have really important dialogues around racial justice and reconciliation, partnering with faith communities and community groups to accomplish that. Next is fully funding our social equity program for the Department of Cannabis to help people get careers and jobs in that industry, especially those who've been touched by the effects of the war on drugs. A Reparations Commission to fund the research and development of a reparations, local reparations program for Black Angelinos. This would help us to partner with an academic partner and bring the community together for conversations around that very important initiative. We'll be continuing to fund the Justice Fund so that people who are undocumented can continue to get the legal representation they need to keep their families together and stay here. Then we have TURN, which is our therapeutic unarmed response for neighborhoods, covering unarmed responses that would normally go to law enforcement. There's several programs in that. The first one is CIRCLE, which would involve non-emergency calls to 911, routing them to service providers rather than police. Next is to continue our suicide prevention pilot with DD Hirsch and DMH, in which it's a similar unarmed response to threats of suicide and situations that involve that. Our library experience office at the public library, which would remove armed and law enforcement response to issues that arise in those facilities. And one thing we want to do is to maintain and accelerate the energy and innovation around the idea of unarmed response. So when new and actionable ideas come out of the mayor's office, one of your offices, or even people outside City Hall, this fund would help us to encourage those innovations and take action on them more quickly. And finally, GRID. This would increase GRID's budget by 1/3, help it to increase its footprint, double the number of peace ambassadors on the streets in a year that was really tough for gun violence and other crimes in some of our most disadvantaged communities. I will hand it over to my colleague, Jean Holm.
Thank you, Andre. So as part of this budget, we're also providing $4.5 million for significant investments in our creative culture, including expanding our existing cultural grants for families and youth and establishing a youth and creative workers mural program. We want to employ youth and other creative workers for community-led murals that commemorate LA's neighborhood and history. This includes programs like We Create LA, which is a low-income youth program to create art and cultural experiences throughout the city. We also are looking at honoring lives lost. This year, every Angelino has felt loss, and that loss is recognized in different ways across our diverse communities. As part of that, and in recognition of past events, we're committing $1 million to establish memorials to commemorate the victims of the 1871 anti-Chinese massacre, victims of gun violence, and the lives lost due to COVID. This is being coordinated with our Civic Memory Project and our Department of Cultural Affairs. In addition, we know that access to the internet has proven to be a lifeline during the pandemic. And by committing $5 million, we will accelerate the efforts to get every Angelino connected to reliable, affordable internet access and the digital literacy they need to get their work done. We'll be providing free Wi-Fi access points and expanding computer labs throughout the city to help close the digital divide, and supporting entrepreneurs who are working on creating businesses that will help to close that digital divide too. We're looking at providing digital literacy training and delivering more devices and internet access to residents, from the students to the elderly. This is in addition to a $2.1 million con plan for Get Connected LA, which you might have heard of as well, but this is in addition to that. Our graffiti abatement program provides $13.2 million overall. This is an increase of $1.7 million to provide an additional 13 crews for graffiti abatement in high impact neighborhoods. And as part of this, we have a pre-apprenticeship program of an additional $1 million. This helps some of our youth be able to start in transitional employment opportunities as part of that graffiti abatement project. One of the projects we're very excited about is the Student to Student Success Project. This pandemic has affected our children's ability to fully engage in education and to learn effectively, often leaving the most vulnerable behind. We've included $3.5 million to launch this program, which provides employment opportunities to 1,000 low-income high school students to home tutor their younger siblings who've struggled with distance learning and to help to accelerate their studies. One of the city's most successful programs has been Hire LA's Youth, where each summer we hire 20,000 youth, sometimes often for their first job. We've doubled the funding to this, previously at $2.8 million to a total of $5.6, to be able to increase the number of paid internship and summer employment opportunities for youth between the ages of 14 and 21. And a program that you all know about is a new department that we're creating, the Youth Development Department. This will help to coordinate youth programs citywide and give the rising generation of Angelinos the tools to shape their own futures and make their stamp on our city's life. This includes 8 new positions and funding for community engagement.
We are also in coordination with the Council President's Office. We're pushing forward with the establishment of a Community Investment for Families Department. I think COVID brought a lot of issues to the forefront, and one of the things that are important to proactively address are the social and economic inequities in our communities. And so This department would administer the con plan, support the commission on family services, and then also provide access to financial and child care services and family services like the Guaranteed Basic Income Program. From a budgetary perspective, this department will have 71 positions to begin with. 50 of those are transferring over from the Housing and Community Investment Department, and then an additional 21 positions. It'll also include the expenses for family source, domestic violence shelter operations, human trafficking pilot, and 3 commissions: the Commission on Community and Family Services, Community Action Board, and the Domestic Violence Alliance.
Okay, and finally, Mr. Chairman, and we thank you for indulging us through this presentation, housing and homelessness. As you heard the mayor discuss at the State of the City address and have read, we are proposing more money towards our solutions towards homelessness than ever before in the city by a significant amount. We are proposing $791 million in new spending or spending that will occur over the course of this year. In addition, there's an additional $164 million that we expect that we did receive this year that will be spent in fiscal 21-22. Next slide. And just by way of comparison, the 791 that we're proposing in this year's budget is more than $400 million more than what we proposed in fiscal 2021's, and which was adopted in that adopted budget. This does not, just for clarity purposes, because we had included it in prior estimations of our spending for homelessness, this does not include any LAPD enforcement costs. Those are detailed in the budget, but we're not including that in this $955 million number. Number two, we see this as a minimum. We know the problem is tremendous, and we need as many resources as we can to address it, like the emergency that it is. We are not assuming any additional state dollars or additional federal dollars over and above the $100 million that was in the ARP for homelessness. The state, the governor's budget already includes $750 million for additional home key acquisitions. The Senate budget bill includes $4 billion for homelessness statewide. So we will aggressively, and together with your help, seek to ensure as high an investment as we can from our state and federal partners. And we expect this number to be a minimum that we will spend in 21-22. And just briefly, I will go through what the components of the $955 million and what we're spending it on. The highlights, the cornerstone of our plan is permanent housing. $362 million from HHH will go into 89 projects this year with over 5,650 beds. We will also continue our very successful room key program with dollars that were borrowed last year that we will continue to spend in next fiscal year. Currently, we have 9 hotels at 1,450 rooms that are currently open. We're looking to continue to expand, potentially as many as 3 more for a total number of rooms at 1,650. We are also setting aside or recommending $140 million of, that is where you see homeless services right there. That is flexible dollars that could be used for services, for capital. We expect we may need to add to that given the outcome of the Carter settlement, if there is one, orders if they stick. But we, regardless of the Carter situation, we would have expected and would need to plan for additional funding that is flexible, and that's that $140 million that could be used for any costs that a project may need. We don't want to be in a situation where the wrong color of money prevents us from standing up a project as quickly as possible. So flexibility is critical. We are recommending an investment of $35 million in homelessness prevention and eviction defense. The mayor's very concerned, and I believe shares your concern, that we may be facing a wave of evictions as we recover from COVID and as the health orders and protections are lifted over the course of this year. So we think it's very important to invest in eviction defense and prevention. We also have a $20 million investment in affordable housing to add to our investment from HHH. That is on top of $36 million that we have in the account that has been earned through the linkage fee. So again, we want to have that investment in affordable housing. That concludes our presentation, Mr. Chairman. Again, thank you for allowing us to address the committee, and we're happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Szabo, to you and your team, and to the mayor for this proposed budget. It's certainly a bold budget. It's innovative in many ways. Significant new programs, the creation of new departments. Much of this, of course, still subject to significant policy development by the council. But it's a bold budget in a year when a bold budget is needed. So I want to thank you. I especially want to thank the mayor for this this budget proposal. I do have a few brief questions, and then I want to turn it over to my colleagues as well. Mindful of the fact that we'll also be hearing from the CAO tomorrow, so we'll have another opportunity to go perhaps more in depth into some of these things with the CAO. But I'd like you to highlight again, because I don't want this to get lost, Mr. Szabo. I'd like you to talk a little bit about the uncertainties that you are concerned about right now, and why maintaining a robust reserve is still necessary in light of the fact that we've received will be receiving $1.35 billion in federal aid. Why do you think that a robust reserve is still necessary, and what are some of the concerns we should have about projections over the next few years?
Well, thank you for that. As I had mentioned earlier in the presentation, there are uncertainties, and then there are known costs that the mayor believes, and we believe, requires a unprecedented level of reserves. Number one, just economically, as we saw through the course of this year, the city of LA, its revenue streams are so strongly tied to the economy, and particularly we were hurt financially in a far greater way than the state was, because we don't rely on, we don't benefit from an income tax, which the state has a huge surplus in large part because it has a progressive income tax, and those that make a lot of money did fairly well through this pandemic. We do not have capital gains tax, in which the state also benefited from. So we have, we're relying on sales tax and business tax and hotel tax, all taxes that are extraordinarily sensitive to swings in the economy. If we have another resurgence, if there's another strain, and we do have to go into another shutdown, that would have very significant impacts on our revenues. The other piece of it, again, as I had said earlier, and I believe there's concurrence with the CAO and CLA, and they'll provide greater detail on this, but we still don't have complete certainty around the allowable uses of the American Rescue Plan dollars. Again, we feel confident that the manner in which we're proposing them is consistent with the legislation, but we have yet to receive guidance, and we have yet to receive a single dollar. And so until we have those dollars in hand, we feel that it's appropriate to be very conservative. And then lastly, we know we're going to have higher employee costs. Every single general manager, maybe not every single one, they're all going to be, many of them are going to come to you saying that we need to fill more positions. We have budgeted them to fill all the positions that they have in their proposed budgets. They have a very high, as Raul said, vacancy rate, but they're going to be asking for more. To the extent that we're adding additional costs that are ongoing in nature and relying on one-time revenue, one-time recovery revenue, that continues to create a structural deficit. We should be using these dollars to the greatest extent possible for one-time expenses. We know we're not going to be able to do that. Our labor partners, our employees are going to be coming back to work. They're going to be saying, well, we sacrificed during COVID, and now it's time for us to get a greater cost of living adjustment. That's a decision that the mayor and your body will make together. But those costs, other than the ones detailed, the $222 million, which we know we have coming in the next 2 years, we expect that could increase as well. So given that the uncertainty and the certainties of the costs, we feel it's critical that we maintain a high reserve.
Great. And just to highlight that point about the American Rescue Plan, not $1 has been received by the city to date. No instruction has been given by the Department of Treasury as to the limitations that there may be on spending that money. When it is received, half of the money will come in this fiscal year and be used virtually entirely to fill the budget deficit that we're facing in this fiscal year, leaving about half that can be used next year for purposes still not entirely known. Is that a fair summary?
That's absolutely fair, yes.
Okay. So to your point about one-time revenues and one-time and ongoing expenses, this budget itself features over $700 million in one-time revenues, and only about $580 million of that is allocated towards one-time expenses, which means that the remainder, the $133 million or so remainder, is one-time money that's being allocated towards anticipated ongoing expenses. And then in addition to that, some of the programs that are featured in this budget as being potentially one-time are programs that that the council and the mayor may want to continue after this fiscal year. What is the going forward plan to be able to fund those ongoing expenses on the assumption that we don't get another windfall from the federal government?
Well, as you pointed out, Mr. Chairman, we every year we present a budget, we try to match one-time revenues with one-time expenses. We weren't able to do that completely precisely this year because of the demands. As I had said earlier, we made a decision that we wanted to restore service levels to the pre-pandemic level. Our hope, and part of the reason that we are investing so much in economic recovery is to support our economy as we reopen, and we can hopefully encourage that revenue to come back, which again is why we're fully funding was one of the reasons that we're fully funding the social equity program to make sure that we can get as many licensees or applicants to be established. We are seeing very strong growth in the cannabis industry and the associated business tax with that. We did see strong growth in our hotel taxes, but it is still at a significantly lower level, what we're projecting, than what we had in 1920, which was greater than $250 million. We need to get our tourism industry back. We need to get our hotel rooms filled, which is why we're investing in targeted marketing to try and get that back as soon as we can. But at this point, we need to focus as much as we can, or our proposal focuses as much as it can on recovery, because we do need to get those ongoing revenues back in next year when we're going to have a drop-off, what will feel like a drop-off of $677 million that we will not have coming from the federal government. The only other thing I will say as it relates to the new programs is that many of them are designed to be demonstrations, and we do understand that these programs are either going to be targeted for COVID recovery, the economic needs associated with the pandemic, and also are appropriate to demonstrate to the federal government or potentially the state government the benefits of such programs, so that we can seek ongoing funding at the appropriate level of government to continue those programs should we choose to do so.
Yeah, and I certainly agree with the approach of using one-time money to help spur the economy, help us get through this one-time crisis, to help people who are suffering from this crisis right now. But I think it is important that we go into this eyes wide open, realizing that if those become ongoing expenditures, there is no revenue to pay for those expenditures, because sometimes we do things in City Hall on a one-time basis or on a trial basis, and they become the expectation that will be continued. So I think we just need to be upfront right from the get-go in knowing that there is no ongoing stream of revenues that will support the degree of expenditure that's included in this budget. One specific question, and this may be too micro to get a response from right now, and I'm happy to hear a response later. That's fine. But I did notice in the homelessness budget that $362 million is set aside in HHH funding for permanent housing, which would support 5,651 units. My math, that comes out to $64,000 of support per unit, which is way below what we typically, the level that we typically support permanent housing. So it seems a discrepancy there, or maybe there's additional funding sources outside of HHH that make up that gap in the subsidy. But I'm just curious at how we got to 5,600 units with only $362 million.
Sure. Our office or CEO's office can report back with the detail on that, but I will say that some of the projects in that 5651 are projects that have already been established and haven't yet received their full subsidy. Some of the projects are projects that will begin over the course of the fiscal year, so they will only receive a portion of the full subsidy over the course of this fiscal year. So we tried to capture what would be actually spent over the course of 21-22 and capture the projects that would receive any dollars, not only the projects that would receive the full amount of subsidy.
So life of project, probably more, but only that much within the fiscal year.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. All right, thank you very much. Let's go first to Ms. Rodriguez.
Chair, and Matt, Andre, everybody, and the mayor, I want to thank you guys for really an outstanding budget. I think given the circumstances of what we've all been living through, what our communities have been struggling through, I thought this did a really outstanding job of trying to help reach into all the areas of need that we had with the resources that we have. And we recognize that one of our biggest priorities is to help close the gaps that exist within our budget, given the strain that was put on it by the pandemic. And helping to close those gaps long term is really required through reactivation of our economy, so that we can generate that TOT, that we can regain the economic, sustaining ourselves economically without relief funds. That said, I was also curious about some of the other relief efforts that were also tied to, and I know this would probably be also more in-depth conversation perhaps with the CAO, but for example, there was a great deal of resources that were made available to restaurant relief. And how are we leveraging those efforts versus perhaps duplicating what limited resources we have that would be due through ARP, that we might be perhaps, because I know there's a lot of additional resources that are slated to come through. And I know much of this exists in terms of you all wanting to cover those areas, given that there wasn't a lot of clarity and there still isn't a lot of clarity with respect to ARP. But has there been any considerations to how we might potentially not duplicate some of what's being offered through some of these other relief efforts, so as to, you know, position ourselves in a manner that perhaps we could better resource other efforts, whether it was, you know, obviously very excited about the Youth Development Department, but for example, even with respect to the Justice Fund, you know, we have communities that have endured trauma at the hands of our own government as a result of the last presidential administration. How are we looking to invest more of those resources, perhaps? And the best way to do that is to maximize not duplicating what other federal resources might be made available. So I don't know if you have any insight as to some of those other relief efforts.
The only thing I can say, and I think it would be appropriate, it would be appropriate for our office or the CEO's office to give you a comprehensive report on everything that's in the ARP, how it's being spent, and how this budget complements that and doesn't duplicate. You know, for example, we don't have specific dollars from our general fund budget on rent relief because there's a significant rent relief portion of the federal aid that we've received. We did want to target, as I said, we targeted small businesses and restaurants because that's just what we're hearing from the small business community and certainly the restaurant community that have been just trying to survive and are really on the brink of and making the decisions to whether they're going to be able to open up, and with all the costs that they'd have to incur to do that. So we did feel it was important to lead with restaurants and small business. But beyond that, I think it would be appropriate, unless any of my colleagues would like to add anything, that we could report back with a more comprehensive list.
Thank you so much. And I think my only other question, and then I'm going to defer to my colleagues, for I know that there's a great deal of conversations to be had. Very excited about all those initial investments with respect to youth programs. For me, and the reason behind the advocacy around the Youth Development Department is to assure accountability with those dollars so that we can maximize the impact, that we can demonstrate the efficacy of the work and measure it. And so with respect to GRID and the investments that have been allocated and programmed, you know, what is the projected kind of contracting obligations in this new process? What might that look like? And in terms of accountability for services, because I know that, you know, there's, you know, is this to, you know, I know there was additional resources that were allocated previously with some of the reprogrammed dollars from LAPD, but what is the projections or expectations of what these additional dollars might net, and what other possible grants are in the queue? And I know this will probably be more of a question once we have GRID coming to the table, but I think it would be important to really reflect on the accountability metrics associated with that and some of the grants in terms of the split between the, you know, the prevention and the intervention work. And I think those two pieces, you know, they get kind of tied together often, but the reality is the work is very different and the outcomes should be driven very specifically very differently. So you know, I think that's going to be an important part of this conversation about GRID and the oversight and the outcomes associated with that work.
Okay, we'll certainly be prepared to have that discussion when we discuss GRID.
Yeah.
Or we hear
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, thank you. Mr. De Leon.
Thank you much, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Matt, as well as all the staff for your presentation on this year's budget. I must say that you're right. If it wasn't for the federal government, we would be having a very different discussion today instead of going through all the reserves. And we're looking at having reserves of over 9.5%, which is historically good. The roller coaster that we've been on this past year has been challenging, no doubt, but I'm proud of how we responded as a city to the pandemic and our budget crisis. And this budget is a historic opportunity, obviously, to tackle the crisis of our time, homelessness. And homelessness is no longer something that was just limited to Skid Row in my district in City 14, but it was mostly out of sight for the rest of the city, but now it's everywhere. So we must use this budget to house as many people for the best price possible while ensuring that we're providing humane options for housing. So a couple questions, Matt. The general homeless budget, the budget has line items for $60 million for homeless services from federal grants and lists a variety of proposed uses. It also has $80 million for homeless services in the GCP. Is there a breakdown between the types of services for housing and what this may include?
A breakdown in terms of an actual spending plan of the 140. No, those dollars are intended to be available as necessary. We have tried over the course of the years, starting with when we began the Bridge Home program. We created the Crisis and Bridge Housing Fund that was there to allow council members, as they would seek to establish ABH sites in their districts, to draw on those dollars for whatever is needed. In some cases, ideally, we'd be in a situation where we're covering capital costs for establishment of new housing. In some cases, we've made agreements with the county where the county has done the capital, and in exchange, we've agreed to pay for the services. So it is important that we have a pot of dollars, a substantial pot that is completely flexible and can be used for whatever is required to get the project to completion. And that's what those dollars represent. So there is no specific spending plan attached to those dollars today.
Let me ask, I think in one of the PowerPoint presentation, which was nicely done, on the room key, you have $43 million budgeted for Project Room Key. And I think you have the number of beds, actually. I didn't jot it down, but you actually have the number of beds. Can you tell me, again, how many beds that $43 million will cover and for how long?
So currently we have, and I'm sorry, yes, currently we have 9 hotels under contract, 1,450 beds. Those will carry, that 43 will carry those beds through September 30th. We are also looking to potentially expand to 3 more hotels, which would add 200 new rooms. We would carry those as long as the funding would allow us to carry them. Currently, we only have 100% reimbursement from the federal government through the end of September, so we'll need to make hard decisions about how we deal with that portion of our housing when as we approach that deadline. Our hope is that with the additional home key dollars that we should be getting from the state, that we could potentially convert many of those into either permanent housing or permanent interim housing beyond September 30th.
So September 30th, 21, correct?
Correct.
So the $43 million will keep what we currently have. Those who occupy the 1,450 actual rooms, an additional perhaps 200 more rooms, and we'll be able to keep them until September 30th. And assuming we get no further funding, just making that assumption, then that's the last day we got for them is September 30th.
That's what we're planning for right now. Obviously, things could change. That could change that deadline. Sure. But that's what we're looking at now. Yes.
Obviously, that's our hope, right? Our hope is we can extend it, not just extend it, but we can expand. The LAHSA, you have LAHSA for $33 million.
Correct.
Can you detail whoever your point person is? Can they detail exactly what that $33 million are destined for?
We certainly can. There's the LAHSA, we have the Blue Book that lists all of the programs that we're funding through LAHSA. if you wanted to give us a moment, we could go through that if you'd like us to do that here, or we could provide that to you with an easier breakdown of where that's going.
We'll do the latter. We'll do the latter because I want to be mindful of my colleagues as well as public comment as well. So I just want to sort of break down what we're doing.
We're happy to follow
that specifically. And then the HHAP 1 and 2 homelessness services, which is 140 million, and the carryover 164 million from 2021. The question I have is, and you said something that was key, contingent what the outcome is, either at the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, whether it goes our way or not, we'll still have a massive problem to deal with, which is the issue of homelessness. So I think we need more housing sooner rather than later, whether it's capital, whether it's master leasing, whether it's a continuation of home key. My question is, what was, again, the total number for 2021? $955 million?
For 2021, the total that was budgeted for last year was $386 million. However, that doesn't count the coronavirus relief funds and other state dollars that we received over the course of the year. The total amount that we received and mostly spent over the course of this current fiscal year, what we project by the end of this fiscal year, will be about 800 million.
About 800 million, okay, correct. More or less 800 million.
Yes.
For 2021.
For 2021, the current fiscal year.
Okay, I apologize. What I meant, I should have said for 21-22.
For 21-22? So
Yes.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
What is the number proposed for 21-22?
The total proposed,
the aggregate for homeless
is 955 million.
Yeah, that's what I said. I misstated by saying 2021. So that was my fault. So of the 955, when I mentioned the carryover from 2021 to 164, the HHAP 1 and 2 homelessness services, that accounts for about, let's say, 164, 140, 300, 304, about maybe more or less $370 million, which doesn't include room key, HHH, LASA, affordable housing prevention or eviction services. Do we know what is fungible of that amount of money right there? And where I'm going with this, so you know, Matt and colleagues, is how much money can we actually utilize specifically for housing? And whichever way that housing comes, whether it's non-congregate shelter, whether it's permanent, how much of that money is fungible and flexible?
So I will say, and I will try to answer the question, but again, this would be more appropriate for a CAO report back, so they can have some accuracy. But it's the dollars. If you're looking just at fungibility, clearly general fund dollars can be used in any way we want them to be used. The $99 million from the ARP are generally flexible dollars, which is why we use some for affordable housing, some for eviction for prevention and eviction defense, and some for homeless services. The HAP dollars are generally flexible, but again, the restrictions around that would be appropriate for the homeless coordinator CAO's office to report on. I'm just looking at the other sources that we're looking from. The carryover is generally not. The carryover includes some coronavirus relief funds, which my understanding are dedicated to projects. But again, the CAO can clarify what the balance is on that. The lion's share of the carryover is COVID ESG dollars that the council has set aside for largely for rapid rehousing, and that does go through LASA for vouchers to place homeless individuals into apartments. So that so the carryover
the COVID ESG can be used for housing.
Well, housing vouchers, yes.
Yeah, that's housing. Yeah, whichever way it's meant. Yeah. No problem. So that can. And is that the intention in the line item for the $164 million for the carryover to be used specifically for that?
Correct. We're not proposing a change in how those dollars were initially allocated.
Okay. Okay, it can be used for housing, which is a good thing. Which is a very good thing. On the $140 million to homeless services, can we utilize that for housing?
100% if it's that's the council's wish.
Okay. And HAP dollars?
HAP dollars can be used for housing, absolutely, yes.
Okay. All right. Now, this is helpful, Matt. So as where I'm going with this, I just want to be careful in terms of a historic amount of dollars, which I give credit to the mayor and all the staff that has worked very hard for this, that we don't sort of kind of spread this like peanut butter, thinly across the board. And because we have a gargantuan number of individuals who are suffering and living on our streets today, we need to use every dollar possible to provide that housing over their head, whether it's manifested through a voucher, whether it's capital costs, or whether it's non-congregate, cabin shelters, a combination thereof. I'm just trying to figure out how we can utilize the dollars, get the most bang for the buck for our taxpayer, and put a roof over the head. And obviously we have our challenges right now with the county of Los Angeles and with regards to services as well as mental health services. That's a separate issue that we'll engage with, but this is helpful right there. And you would suggest, Matt, to when the CAO does their report, to ask these very specific questions, they'll have a little more detail?
Absolutely, and if you so choose, it would be appropriate for a budget memo, which can detail and can be shared with everyone. I think that would be helpful for everyone.
Okay. All right. Okay. No, thank you very much. And the last thing I'll say, and thank you, Mr. Chair, for allowing me to indulge myself a little bit in the line of questions. With the youth department that is created and with a partial down payment, I don't know if it was 1 million or 1.1 million or 1.4 million, what it was specifically. With the issue of grid, I would say I was listening to Ms. Rodriguez, and I think it does make sense either through a budget memo or have a further discussion how we deal with the issue of grid specifically, and if in grid should be integrated and newly created the youth department that has been the brainchild of Councilmember Monica Garcia. So I just want to put it out there too. So I was listening to that line of questioning, and I just want to put that out there as we go further the next few days, obviously, as we engage in more detail in terms of the questions and answers and ideas that we in the legislative branch may have. Matt, thank you very much. Mr. Chair, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. De Leon. Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez, as well. We'll go next to Councilmember Curran Price. Oh, and there's some open mics, so if I could ask everybody who's not speaking to please mute, that would be great. And we'll go next to Mr. Price.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Matt, thank you and your team for and the mayor for the outstanding presentation. And obviously we're building upon the work that we started over this past year. Just a few months ago, the council allocated some of the reimagining dollars to programs like an alternative public safety model, hiring additional community intervention workers, and of course, creation of a guaranteed basic income program. The mayor's budget builds on those programs. My office proposed and contributed $6 million for a guaranteed basic income program in CD9. Subsequently, 3 of my colleagues joined me, and now the mayor's budget. This is going to have a $35 million guaranteed basic income program, by far the largest that's been done in the country. And I'm confident it's going to be a very positive model for the country, for the nation as well. And Andre, just a special shout out to you for your work on this. And I look forward to collaborating again as we implement this during the year. You know, I've said that the $150 million cut to the LAPD budget was a down payment. And so I'm happy to see that this justice budget is building on that and additional program funding that's going to work towards creating a more equitable and just city. For too long, areas like the one I represent have been neglected. And so I think we finally made progress, and we're realizing that it can't be business as usual. So this equity lens is something that I'm going to be looking at real closely. And I know equity does not mean splitting resources by 15, but by putting those resources where they are needed. And so in addressing historical inequities. So again, I just appreciate the fact that we're moving in that direction. Having said that, I do have a couple of questions. You talked about some programs like digital inclusion and repair. Can you kind of talk a little bit more about how these play into our equity analysis and how they're going to be focused on areas of need?
Sure. Let me ask Andre and or Jean to answer that. Thank you.
Sure. I'll start with repair and then turn it over to Jean for digital inclusion. I think, thank you, Council Member, for all of that. I think based on our current thinking, as far as LA Repair goes, I think it really will come down to establishing pilot zones for the program so that we can maximize the impact of the participatory budgeting aspect and concentrate those dollars where they're most meaningful. You know, I think over the last year, what we found is that a lot of the data and mapping insights that we're using in COVID response, you know, to deploy vaccine equity teams, to site testing centers, to conduct targeted outreach, it's also very useful in pinpointing where people are coping with homelessness, joblessness, poverty, crowded housing, lack of transportation, just all the things that we know are legacies of institutional and structural racism. So to that end, we were looking not only at our own analysis of census data, but also the insights that you can find in the CDC's vulnerability index. And when you broaden that out from the census tract view you find in the SVI, and you look at community plan area maps, for example, there's a lot of overlap when you look at social vulnerability defined by the CDC and areas of the city where the population is 90% or more people of color. And there's also a lot of overlap when you look at maps that track the history and legacy of redlining and disinvestment, racial covenants, places with higher levels of unemployment and underemployment, you know, all the things that we know have contributed to or are the consequences of structural and institutional racism. So I think to answer your question, we've got a pretty good start in understanding where these pilot zones might be designated and how the people in those communities can submit ideas and play the decisive role in what gets funded.
You know, and building on that, Hire LA's Youth, Clean LA, Angelino Corps, again, just kind of curious to see how we're going to be recruiting these individuals, how we're going to focus on letting folks know about these programs, and who's going to be leading these programs.
When you talk about Hire LA's Youth and Angelino Corps, I think EWDD will be taking a very strong hand. And so I you know, in terms of, you know, Hire LA's Youth already exists and looks through an equity lens. So I think we'd be looking at a recruitment and outreach for those programs along those same lines, but of course, always open to new ideas and ways of getting the message out and getting these opportunities to the right people.
Okay.
And sir, I was just going to respond to the digital inclusion piece. So we've also worked really closely with particularly Council Member Blumenfeld's office over the last several years and being able to map the digital divide, look at where there's disconnected aspects across the communities, and working with telecommunication companies to expedite city permitting processes to make sure that we're able to build out faster. But we still saw this last year, particularly with our students and our elderly and our foster care youth, a drop across the digital divide. It doesn't happen equitably across the city. So while digital inclusion efforts are expected to happen in every district, we do expect that some districts, your own being one of them, are going to have a particular focus for things around the digital divide and places where we really need to build up infrastructure, programming, support for entrepreneurs trying to solve this problem, and others.
No, thank you for that response. You're absolutely right. Some areas are disproportionately impacted, and with some, the recovery never occurs. So we just want to make sure that these programs and policies are being focused where they're needed. Similarly, turn and circle, two I think interesting models. Can you give us a little more detail on how these programs, turn, circle, and the alternative dispatch models, how they're going to factor into this equity equation? Thank you.
You know, I think that when you look at some of the issues that those pilots would address, as you've pointed out, as Jean's pointed out, as we all know, those impacts are concentrated in certain communities. And so I would expect that the deployment for many of those programs would just by nature of the crisis be focused, where the need is the greatest. Some of the others, like Circle, they're starting in pilot areas where we hope, with the additional funding we put in for law enforcement alternatives, we'd be able to expand throughout the year as we see how the model works, as we see, the efficacy of the programs, and move on from there. But generally speaking, when you talk about alternate dispatch, which would cover the entire city, when you talk about the suicide prevention pilot, these cover everyone, but certainly I think the response is just by necessity, and it is concentrated in the areas where the need is greatest. But of course, when it comes to pilot programs, one of the advantages is that you can course correct as you move along. So I think we'd be looking to do that and to learn more about how to refine and hone the response in a way so that the equity lens is always applied to everything that we do.
These programs are citywide. Again, I think the equity focus is always going to be focusing on those areas that have been historically neglected. So that's we support that totally. Last question, Mr. Chairman. You included, Matt, looks like $15 million for homelessness prevention and eviction defense. This is a very, I think, important program. We had the Solid Ground program with the Family Source Centers. I think that's proven to be successful. Can you any more insight on how these prevention programs, eviction protection programs are going to function in a way that meets the need that we have now? We know it's going to be a tsunami, as we come out of this pandemic in terms of evictions. And so what are we going to be doing differently?
So just on that, I will just add, it's 15 million, and then there's another 19 million that we added from the federal ARP. So a total of $35 million for homelessness prevention and eviction defense. Again, what we have had up until this point is what we wanted to do with this pot was have a dedicated source. So as it relates to what the policies are and what the specific prevention programs and what the specific eviction defense programs, we do expect that we would build on what we have established this year with our relatively small pilot program for eviction defense. But that would be at the discretion of the council and as we work with the departments that will be administering these programs. So not completely defined yet, still open for discussion for how you'd like to design the programs.
Okay, well, I think it will build on an important base, and so I think there'll be an opportunity to build on it in a way that we haven't before. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Price. Next, I'd like to call on Mr. Blumenfield.
Thank you. And I'll try to be relatively brief. I know we have a lot of public comment folks, and I'll save most of my specific questions for when the CAO comes. Just some overall comments, I guess. I mean, you guys did a great job and have done a great job of keeping the city together during this very difficult time. As you've stated, though, we're taking on a lot of new things in this budget. Important, but a lot of new things. And as the chair mentioned, the one-time expenditures never end up being one-time expenditures. So we have an inherent tension in this budget about some of the important new things that we're doing and also how we build back smart because our city has been hollowed out over this last year. And we all know it. I mean, in terms of the number of employees that we've lost to SIP and just the loss in revenue. And this budget, it tries to get us back, and we don't want to just, it's important that we don't just try to recreate what we had before. We do need to do things differently. We need to figure out how to do things cheaper, how to do things using the technology to build on the fact that we've been remote for all this time. A lot of these things can remain remote and save money. Inspections can be done remotely that previously we always had to send people out for. So there are ways to create savings. But unfortunately, a lot of the staffing savings that we have here are not so much strategic. They're just a product of who was most senior and who left. And I'm worried about the impact of that, particularly on, like Rec and Parks that lost, 70 folks. And, while they can limp along now because the parks are not being fully utilized, people are going to start going back to these parks and they're going to be screaming and yelling if the bathrooms are dirty and the parks are not kept up. And, we need to figure out how to make sure those critical positions that are basic city services are funded and are done, even done differently, but are done right. And I'm very worried about that. We had deep cuts in Department of Transportation engineers. We've had GSD was cut very deeply. And we don't have a direct path for growing these folks back. And I'm particularly worried about some of the things, I'm like a broken record about trying to take down federal funds. And it doesn't take a crystal ball to see that over the next year or two, there's going to be major federal funding coming down in the infrastructure world. And if we want to take that, to get a large percentage of that money, of which will be, on an order of magnitude that is much larger than all the infrastructure spending that we have, with this kind of infrastructure, folks, we need to be doing the investments now in, with our engineers in the planning to get all these projects to be shovel ready so that when the federal money is available, we'll be the ones to take it down. It's been a frustration of mine with this city, actually for years, even before I got elected, that we often don't take great advantage of, we leave federal money on the table. So I don't know how you might, this is not so much a question, it's more just some thoughts, but we need to make sure that as we do this budget, we're positioning ourselves for some of those big federal pots of money that are coming, because a little bit of positioning can make a heck of a lot of difference in the money that we get, the subsequent jobs that are created. All of the good things that we're doing with our money can be done tenfold if we can take down more federal money. So that's part of it. And I guess I'll open it up to responses, but making sure we're prepared for the infrastructure, making sure we're prepared for growing back our city in a smart way, and particularly for those departments that have been hollowed out that deal with core services that are not getting restored. How are we going to balance that with the tension of all the new programs that we're creating as we move forward?
So thank you for that. I'll ask, or I'll attempt to address the issue around staffing. We had, it wasn't just the separation incentive program that caused a drain of 1,378 folks who were the most senior, who were ready to retire, but it was also, we had for most of the year, essentially a hard hiring freeze, going from managed hiring to the moratorium. And that increased significantly the vacancy rates at our departments. We did agree together, working through EERC, working with labor, and ultimately the mayor and the council approved the separation incentive program in which we paid folks to retire. It will be very hard, and it would be very hard for us to certainly recommend replacing those positions. And I know some departments are asking for all positions lost to the SIP to be replaced. What, as Raul detailed in the presentation, understanding that we can't just say the departments that lost, for example, all of their senior leadership, that they just can't exist without that being able to fill those positions. We allowed departments to exchange positions and to give us a different complement of positions that are vacant and that would be eliminated as a way of covering the costs of the separation incentive program. So we are allowing departments to hire back critical positions. We did not just draw a line in the sand and say anyone you lose to retirement, you cannot fill. That wouldn't make sense operationally and it wouldn't be fair. I would also say, because we do know there's going to be a lot of conversation about adding more positions, even with the budget that we've proposed, we are still funding a number of vacant positions, and the average vacancy rate is, and Raul, correct me if I'm wrong, about 18%. We need, as departments come and ask for more positions, there's also an issue of we're going to need to hire faster, but hire to the positions that are already funded, and we would encourage the committee to ask the departments that are asking for more positions that have a very high vacancy rate already for their plan to fill the positions that they already have that are already funded before we would add more funded additional positions, which again will create ongoing costs that we will not have in future years, where we won't have the benefit of federal aid, most likely. For Rec and Parks, for example, they are a very good example. We need to get those services out, but they have an extraordinarily high vacancy rate. With the park rangers, for example, it's about a 50% vacancy rate. So we did not make the decision to add more park rangers. What we would like to do is make sure that personnel has the resources necessary to make sure that those 20 or so vacant park ranger positions can be filled as quickly as possible this year. And that's pretty much across the board. And it is true, we were hollowed out. But we've got to get the hiring done first for positions that are actually paid for, we believe, before we continue to add more positions that will create ongoing liability. And on the federal items, we can certainly report back to you on how we're going to be maximizing all of the dollars available through not just what has been proposed, or what we know that we're going to receive through the ARP, but what we will have potentially in the state budget and any upcoming infrastructure legislation from the federal government as well. That the mayor is highly focused on that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Blumenfield and members. Mr. Szabo, again, to you and your team, as you probably noticed, you received a very warm welcome from this committee today. We try to do that every year, but this year is an extraordinary year, and we're facing extraordinary challenges, and I think that the mayor and your entire team rose to the occasion with a budget that really is going to be dramatically impactful to this city in all of its forms of recovery that we have to go through, of all of the strains that we're facing now. And so there's much work to do. There's still a lot of policy that needs to be developed around many of these proposals. There's a lot of strategic level decisions that this committee is still going to need to make. But I think we certainly have a very healthy starting point with the proposal that the mayor has put before us. And so I want to thank all of you for the hard work that you've put into this, and express our gratitude to the mayor for this budget. So thank you all very much, and we'll look forward to continuing the discussion as we go. So with that, members, we're prepared to begin our public comment period, and typically, because this is a one-item agenda, we would take 1 minute per speaker, but given that the one agenda item is the entire city budget, I'd like to suggest that we offer 2 minutes per speaker, and we can go ahead and begin that process now. Let me remind the members of the public that they'll be expected to speak to the topic of the budget, not other issues. If we stray off into other issues, then your time will be deemed waived, and I'll cut you off, and we'll go to the next speaker so we can get as many speakers in as we can about the budget itself. So with that, if we could just go ahead and read in the call-in directions one more time and queue up the first speaker to be ready to go.
Members of the public who would like to offer public comment on the item on today's agenda should call 669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 160-655-3266 and then press pound. Press pound again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted into the meeting, press star 9 to request to speak. Thank you.
And to members of the public, when it's your turn to speak, you will hear the last 4 digits of your phone number read out or other identifying information if you're calling in with a block number. As you were just told, press star 6. You will have 2 minutes to speak per the chairman. Because this is a special meeting, there is no general public comment. You must speak to the agenda items, which are the agenda item, which is the budget. And this is a one-item agenda. If you stray off topic, you'll get one brief warning from me or the presiding officer, and if you don't get back on clearly, or you again stray off, you'll forfeit the rest of your speaking time. Finally, we understand that some of you might be listening to the meeting on channel 35 or another device. Please keep one ear to the phone, though, because there's a brief time delay between the live meeting and the broadcast, and if you're only listening to the broadcast, when we read out your identifying information and it's your turn to press star 6, you may not hear it right away and press star 6, and we may think you're no longer there and move on to the next speaker. Finally, if you are listening on another device, please turn down the volume on that other device right away when it's your turn to speak. If you don't, between the time delay and feedback, it's going to cause a lot of confusion. So we are ready to take public comment, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and call the first speaker, please.
Members of the public wishing to offer public comment should dial star 9 at this time. Speaker with the last 4 digits 5436, please dial star 6 to unmute and address the committee.
Yeah, I guess I'll speak on the one agenda item.
Please begin.
Can I begin? Okay.
Yes.
This budget is a testament to the spectacular failures of the mayor and the city council. Under their watch, LAPD's budget has risen nearly 50%, while homelessness affects tens of thousands of Angelenos. This budget is a continuation of those failures. Despite the mayor's office's gaslighting presentation to start this meeting, once again, the mayor and the council have given over a quarter of the total budget to LAPD at the expense of less than 1% of the budget for community investment in families, cultural affairs, civil rights, and equity, less than 0.1% of the total budget on disability, emergency management, youth empowerment, student success pilot, youth development, justice, and reparations. This budget shows the people of LA that our electeds have nothing but disdain for us. Of course, most of the members of this committee have been bought off by LAPD. Monica has taken over $111,000 from LAPPL. Krikorian has taken nearly $30,000. Those are bribes, whether you call them campaign contributions or not. Despite LAPD's record budget last year, crime went up, and it's certain that settlements from police brutality will also go up, proving LAPD is both incompetent and uncontrollably violent. The people have been in the streets and in meetings for a year now telling you to defund the police and use that money to fund other services. This budget proves you do not listen to the people and lack any concept of governance beyond the police state. You will go down as the biggest failures in LA City history, and budgets like this are the reason why. I yield my time.
Thank you, Speaker.
Next speaker, please.
Caller with the last 4 digits 0585, please dial star 6 to unmute.
Good afternoon, council members and fellow residents of Los Angeles. My name is Michael Koenig. I am a homeowner in CD4. I live in the historic Sunset Square district. I want the council members to understand that the cries for a radical reapportioning of our resources are not coming merely from disgruntled youth. I'm a man who's 56. I own property. I'm white. I enjoy all the benefits that our budgeting priorities for the past decade afford people like me. But last year, I too was out in the streets with my fellow residents of every color and age, all of us trying to get the attention of our elected leaders, trying to get them to hear our cries. We must do better for our city. And that means a radical rethinking of our resources. Please consider this when you look at this budget and understand all the money that is currently earmarked for the LAPD could go to much better purposes. I yield my time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 7666, please dial *6 to unmute and address the committee.
Go right ahead, Speaker.
Speaker with the last four digits 7666, it is your time to speak. You can dial *6 to unmute.
Speaker, go right ahead.
Mr. Chair, I will go back to that speaker later. Speaker with the last four digits 4578, dial *6 to unmute and state your name and address the committee. Speaker with the last four digits 4578, dial *6 to unmute and you should be able to address the committee.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Hi, my name is Hamid Khan with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. And I want to start off, first of all, by expressing my concern about why only these two meetings were open for public comment, where we thought this was a participatory budget process and which should be open to public comment like every time we're having this conversation. But that's raised a lot of concern amongst many people, many Angelenos. Secondly, I also want to make sure that the community knows that what the mayor announced initially when he released these numbers, there was complete misrepresentation and pretty much a lie, because he, in his graph, shows a loss of 5% monies to be given to LAPD for 2021-2022 budget. But when you do the math of the budget that was adopted by the city council for 2021 was 1.72 million. And then now he's proposing $1.76 billion, which is an increase of $42 million. But, you know, we're not surprised, because keeping in line with Mayor Garcetti's tenure since 2013, the LAPD's budget has increased by $500 million, almost $500 million, a 48% increase into how the LAPD's budget has increased. And it is really insulting to Angelenos. It's insulting to the communities. It is insulting. It's throwing salt on the wound when millions of people had marched on the streets of Los Angeles demanding that LAPD should be defunded, because we said defund and not reform. But what we are seeing is that LAPD continues to be rewarded for its violence. Even the police commission had its own survey done by Loyola Marymount University, in which they showed that 67% of Angelenos said that money should be reallocated from the LAPD, and over 36% said that LAPD should be completely abolished. And this is the official LMU. You should look at that survey. And lastly, I want to
All right, thank you. Next speaker, please.
Okay. Speaker with the last four digits 8495, please dial star 6 to unmute and state your name and offer your comment.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair Krikorian and committee members. My name is Catherine Pease, and I'm the Director of Science and Policy at Heal the Bay. Heal the Bay is asking the Budget Committee to restore Recreation and Parks hiring authority for 140 staff positions that were lost to early retirement during the pandemic. The inability to refill 140 positions of Rec and Park staff will have a disproportionate impact on all communities in the city, but will most significantly impact communities of color. The importance of parks has never been felt more than in the last year during the pandemic. Access to safe and welcoming green space is critical for the mental, social, and physical health of our communities. We also ask that the Budget Committee reinstate the 4 positions in the Planning Department, including the ecologist position, necessary to fully implement the complete Wildlife Corridor Protections Ordinance. As a member of the expert panel for the biodiversity work that the city is leading on, Heal the Bay strongly supports funding of this effort. It is an integral part of the city's biodiversity protection effort and will provide for protections to wildlife and habitats that support community health and climate resiliency. Finally, we support and commend the city on the inclusion in the budget of the Zero Waste Transition Microgrant for small restaurants. The ongoing pandemic has had a terrible impact on restaurants. Unfortunately, the effects of COVID-19 have also been seen in the uptick in single-use foodware items and resulting litter. The pandemic worsened single-use habits and curbed a lot of progress that we've seen in Los Angeles over the last several years on reducing plastic pollution. The Zero Waste Microgrants will financially support restaurants as they reopen to full capacity and cover costs associated with reducing waste, like switching to reusable foodware. This will save restaurants money and reduce waste. This is an essential investment for the city to make at this juncture. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 7666, please dial star 6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment.
Hi there, this is Jerry Hans, President of Friends of Griffith Park. We'd like to voice our concern that 4 critical staff positions related to Planning Department's wildlife pilot study are showing up as removed under the current public budget scenario. That's on page 156. With a possible wildlife ordinance in the very near future, these positions are necessary for the Planning Department to finish the job. Implementing measures related to the ordinance may also require new staffing at Building and Safety, and we would ask that this committee request a report back on that committee's funding needs, looking towards the ordinance being put in place later this year. Rather than nitpicking the expense side of 4 staff positions, a look at the city's balance sheet is needed instead. One of the greatest assets in the city is Griffith Park. This committee should understand that without protecting connectivity across Santa Monica mountain range, the wildlife in Griffith Park will diminish. Populations of various species will be lost completely and forever. So think about protecting this asset on the balance sheet. The Planning Department has 1 ecologist on staff, and that position certainly needs to be protected. Even more mind-blowing, Rec and Parks, with 450 city parks and over 17,000 acres, has no ecologist or no biologist on staff. Overwhelming enthusiasm for Rim of the Valley, Biodiversity by Sanitation Department, the Green New Deal, and 30 by 30. Is it all more than just talk? Planning without action is not progress when it comes to mitigating habitat fragmentation and keeping connectivity for wildlife across the Santa Monica Mountains. Griffith Park is not an island now, but without meaningful measures enacted across the city's amazing mountain range, it may be soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 6101, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead, speaker.
All right, thank you. The mayor of LA and this city council do everything in their power to not listen to the people. This summer, we saw many protests, many people and many organizations demand that we defund the police. And yet, we are still here at the same place where we are not redirecting that money to our communities to fight back against poverty and homelessness and other resources that our community desperately needs. Measure J was a joke, and now none of that money has been used to the community. Where is that money? If we commit to defunding the police and we have those monies redirected to the community, they should be seen in the community. We cannot defund the police and not reinvest that money back into the community. The LAPD continues to terrorize communities, and we cannot give them more money so that LAPD can continue to brutalize protesters during protests. If they need money for snacks, then they should fucking eat the rubber bullets and pepper bullets that they fire at protesters with glee. I yield my time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 7231, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comments to the committee.
Hello, my name is Kenneth Mejia, and I'm a CPA with close to 11 years of auditing and accounting experience, and I've been analyzing this justice budget that Mayor Garcetti says it is, right? You know, the mayor's office just said that they decreased the LAPD's operational budget by 5%. That is a lie, because they're not including the fact that Black Lives Matter LA and People's Budget LA Coalition successfully deducted $150 million last year. And so if you include that, the mayor is increasing the LAPD's budget by $43 million or 3%, and a big chunk of that is going to increase over time. During the presentation, half of it was discussing the equity and justice budget, right? I did the calculations, and everything that was presented was $179,760,000 to equity and justice. That's 1.6%, right? And if you think about that, we talk about millions or hundreds of millions. That's still a fraction. Housing only gets 2% of the budget. Homelessness only gets 7% of the budget. LAPD gets 27.4% of the budget, right? You can talk about basic income getting 24 million or even 35 million, but it's still 0.31%. You can talk about the digital inclusion budget to get the digital divide lower of 5 million. That's still 0.04%. So you need to look at these numbers in perspective to the total city budget. A lot of these equity and justice budgets are 0% of the total budget that will have no effect. There are 1.4 million households in the city of LA, 17% without poverty, and close to 20% now, close to 18% now live in poverty, and close to 70% without internet. You need to start thinking about these huge numbers. Having 1,000 families get basic income, or even 2,000 or even 3,000, is still not enough. We can go big, we can go bold. Look at the LAPD's budget. It doesn't need to be that big. Look at their pensions. Look at the new helicopter that they're getting for $7 million. Look at all the expenses for building and ammunitions and basically everything. Just look at the entire LAPD budget and deduce that, right?
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 3347, please dial *6 to unmute and state your name and offer your comment to the committee.
Go right ahead, speaker.
Last four digits 3347, dial *6 to unmute.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you perfectly.
Thank you very much. Hi, my name is Zach. I am a animation production worker in East Hollywood, and while I want to compliment the direction of the mayor's staff has gone in the budget this year, including the increase in budget for homeless services It's clearly not going to be enough with the exploding homeless population that we've been dealing with, not just in the past decade, but in the past year. And I share the same concerns with the lack of money being spent in our parks department, our other critical departments, as well as expanding infrastructure and being ready to increase infrastructure projects. And we are putting more money, not less, into the LAPD. And I think that it's a very easy solution if we are worried about how tight money is to cut money from the LAPD. Last year, the LAPD, the entire LAPD, spit in the eye of this council and the mayor's office, refusing to even discuss taking a pause and getting their raises that every other department was willing to do. They're not playing ball. They continuously show disrespect towards this council, to the mayor, and to the people of this city. And they don't need the money that they claim that they do. They only use it to buy more toys and to do more unnecessary overtime. They use it for unnecessary weapons, to fire quote unquote, less than lethal rounds, rubber bullets that they shoot directly at our heads, so which I have the scars to prove, as do many protesters whose only crime was showing up and demanding the police be less violent. We don't need more Humvees. We don't need Bearcats. We don't need them using helicopters that cost $7 million each and cost tens of thousands of dollars each time they fly it out for following 5, 10, 15 protesters.
Thank you.
They don't need those.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 8195. Please dial *6 to unmute. Offer your name and your comment to the committee.
This is Tenacity. The mayor's budget is not a recovery budget.
Please
nor
mute
is
your
it
device.
innovative.
We're getting a feedback loop.
It's a
Please
budget
mute your device.
promoting. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, but we're hearing feedback from the background. So if you could please mute whatever.
Okay. Yeah,
There we
I'm
go.
not doing that anymore. Hearing that anymore. But as I was stating, the mayor's budget is not a recovery budget, nor is it innovative. It's a budget promoting the police state. It is not in the better interest for the community at large, and definitely not for our most vulnerable communities, our Black and brown people who have been most impacted by the pandemic. Our houseless community will not be receiving sufficient resources to provide housing. Our folks in poverty will not be given resources needed to truly recover. We need to adopt the people's budget this year to truly change the trajectory of the city. Get off your high horses. Be with the people. What you all in the council have expressed is enough from the mayor's budget. It's actually not enough. Mark my words, if you adopt the mayor's budget as it stands, you will forever be known as being against the people you are supposed to serve. Let the era of true humanity ring in. Fund services that will directly improve the lives and trajectories of Black people in LA. Promote equity, promote peace, culture, and education. Promote world peace, with each person becoming absolutely happy. Invest in our community. Let the budget match all your niceties. By the way, y'all started hella late, and that's a tactic trying to suppress us from voicing what we need, which is not this budget, but in fact, the people's budget. And you can go to peoplesbudgetla.com and take the survey and let everybody know why it's important to fund communities and services, not police. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 2240. Please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
Hi, my name is Sabrina Johnson. Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just want to start by thanking Mr. Krikorian for your decades of public service. Paul, I was glad to hear you say at the beginning of this meeting that there will be an opportunity to give public comment when this budget goes to full council. I recorded that, and I'm really looking forward to seeing which one of you animated corpses actually finds the chutzpah to bully Martinez into giving us more than 10 minutes for that. I want you to know that this budget will make or break your career. As it stands, somewhere around 2%
of the city budget is going toward housing. Do you understand how out of whack that is? Los Angeles is the second largest city in the country with respect to population, and yet our housing department doesn't even crack the top 10 in the nation in terms of the number of units we're managing. We do have the most police helicopters in the country, though. We're also leading the nation in police shootings, just FYI. So it should be clear to all of you at this point that the LAPD budget needs to be drastically reduced, and that money needs to be diverted to public housing instead. And let me tell you all something. If you think 10,000 angry police officers is bad for your political career, oh, buddy, just wait till you find out what 350,000 moms facing eviction are going to do to your precious legacy. Jesus, grow a backbone, you droopy old cowards. You're getting pushed around by a bunch of dumb meatbags who wet their beds when Trump lost. God!
Thank you. Next speaker.
Speaker with the last four digits 4208, please dial *6 to unmute and state your name and offer your comment to the committee.
Hi, it's Rob Kwan.
Please go ahead, Mr. Kwan.
Yeah, sorry, hard to follow that up. Councilmember Krikorian, your listening sessions would have been greatly appreciated if they were actually additive, as you repeatedly stated. Unfortunately, it's hard to describe that as anything but a blatant lie. You did a bait and switch and removed public comment from 6 out of the 8 budget hearings. Turning to the budget, back in the day, Mayor Garcetti might have campaigned on getting it back to basics, but his proposed budget fails to adequately restore city services while he seems to roll up pilot programs left and right like he's Oprah. I do also want to echo the concerns about the deceptive chart from Mayor Garcetti's office, falsely portraying LAPD as getting a 5% decrease in their budget when they're getting an increase. Also, many departments are seeing phantom budget increases that hide the fact that they've lost huge chunks of their staff due to last year's buyouts and hiring freezes. Those SIPs barely paid for themselves, Paul. They were arbitrary and a devastating self-inflicted wound. Please undo that damage. I also want to note the LA Justice Fund only got $1 million thrown at it. 0 new dollars were committed to the redistricting commissions. They have an enormous amount of work to be done in a short period of time. That commission's website could easily be mistaken for the one from 2001. We have an undercount that's going to require an intensive effort to interrogate. Ethics Commission's budget is roughly the same as LAPD's public relations budget. It's also less than LAPD's proposed bureau focused exclusively on clamping down on protests. Crucial positions aren't addressed in this budget, even if they pay for themselves, like the Ethics Commission's lobbying program or the Comptroller's special investigator for waste, fraud, and abuse. They pay for themselves. So what is your excuse there? I'm also thinking back to a recent story in the LA Times on allegations that years back, the Budget Committee had a member who threatened to retaliate against the Ethics Commission's budget based upon their enforcement practices. Can we please get back to basics, Paul? I yield my time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 4041, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Good afternoon, Chair Krikorian and council members. My name is Andrea Leon Grossman. I am the Climate Action Director with Azul. I'm also a Mexican-born immigrant and resident of Los Angeles. I'm asking you to restore Recreation and Parks Hiring Authority for 140 staffers who were laid off during the pandemic. If we don't restore those positions, it will have a disproportionate impact on communities of color. Access to nature is a necessity, not an amenity. The majority of positions that have been vacated are from within the land maintenance program. When parks are not well maintained, community members do not feel safe accessing them. Many positions are good paying jobs with growth potential from recreational programming, a section that often hires directly from the community. The pandemic has demonstrated the inequities in our city. Many had the opportunities to get outside and remain safely distanced, many more didn't. Not only restoring these positions will only further exacerbate the inequity in the LA Park system. If we are to close the inequity gap in the access to park space, we need the necessary staff to do so. Access to park is critical to mental and physical health, and the current health crisis is a clear example. You must consider the long-term impact on community if these positions are not refilled. Access to nature is a necessity, not an amenity. We need a Green New Deal for our city that is equitable. Prioritize the well-being of the disadvantaged communities. Stop funding oppressive departments, and please defund the police. Thank you, and I yield my time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 0408, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello, can you
go
hear
right
me?
ahead. Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, yes. I would like to highlight that it is very insulting that the public is not invited to all of the meetings regarding the budget. That's my first point. My second point is that the current budget proposal is also very insulting. The fact that police are getting an increase while services such as homelessness initiatives and parks and mental health and youth development initiatives are not getting enough attention. It is a very small portion of the budget, whereas the police budget has increased significantly, and this indicates that the budget only is serving a small portion of this population, which is the police, and those who are feeding into the system. And the people, I'm also advocating for the people's budget and for the proposal to truly look at what the people are saying, because we the people are helping funding. We the people are actually helping with this budget, with the tax dollars that we're spending. And we are demanding that we defund the police, that money is taken from the police and reallocated to other services and resources that actually help support the community, especially the Black community and our most vulnerable populations. Thank you very much. I yield my time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 3312, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
My name is Elizabeth Reed Wainscott, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Center for Biological Diversity. The center stands in solidarity with the groups represented today that oppose the LAPD budget instead of investing in the health and well-being of our community members. We would like to reinforce that our ask should not take away from that prioritization. With that noted, we would like to address the defunding of the Wildlife Corridor pilot study. A key element of environmental health is biodiversity, which is declining worldwide primarily due to loss of habitat. The 2019 Green New Deal has a 2021 milestone to set biodiversity targets and pilot LA's first wildlife corridor. However, the proposed budget eliminates the planning department's wildlife pilot study program, despite the request to the mayor made in writing and in person by the center in coalition with 8 other environmental and community groups. In addition to the lack of funds allocated for the implementation of the Wildlife Corridor Ordinance, Planning Director Vince Bertoni submitted a letter vacating the Mulholland Design Review Board, which has been a vital resource for community members for years to successfully protect wildlife habitat. These actions make habitat corridors vulnerable to unsustainable development and further endanger hillside communities with increased risk of wildfire. We thus urge the City Council to fully fund the 4 staff positions needed to finalize and implement the Wildlife Corridor Ordinance to ensure that our city's biodiversity is preserved and that our hillside communities are protected against wildfire. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 6314, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and please offer your comment to the committee.
Hello, council members. My name is Tony Tucci with Citizens for Los Angeles Wildlife, or CLAW. And very soon we will be watching the planning department publish a draft wildlife corridor ordinance. It'll come with fanfare, like a video and a website, in order to say, look what we're about to do. About, and that's it. The item in the mayor's draft budget, which defunds the wildlife pilot study on July 1st, is paradoxical. Here we go again. For the second year in a row, the mayor cuts something that is relatively low cost with huge dividends for the future of LA And again, it now becomes time for the city council members to be our heroes in the absence of forward-thinking environmental leadership. Earlier in the year, NGOs that you heard from Center for Biological Diversity, well, we sent a coalition to the mayor requesting that he not defund the study and keep it aligned with his 2021 Green New Deal milestone for a pilot wildlife corridor. That letter was signed by Center for Biological Diversity, NRDC, Sierra Club, National Wildlife Federation, Nature Conservancy, Hillside Federation, and others. And we're going to definitely share that letter with this committee. Also worth mentioning, Joseph Edmondson, Executive Director of the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, wrote to Mayor Garcetti. I have that letter from March 16th, and I'm going to read a little excerpt. It says, a well-crafted wildlife corridor ordinance is an essential, although past due, planning tool to maintain a broad spectrum of wildlife presence that enriches the whole city. Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy again urges you to fully fund the Planning Department's Wildlife Pilot Study Program in the 21-22 budget. That small investment is without question necessary to assure the future presence of larger mammal species in a special mountain range that delivers those animals close to the heart of Los Angeles. Council members, I'm optimistic that this committee will step in and save this item. Last year, 3 of you were environmental champions in reinstating the wildlife pilot study. This year, we have 2 new committee members who have hilltops in their districts, and I think they understand that the study is also meant to protect the environment and the people of their districts.
Thank you.
This planning tool is no different from the Toyon and elderberry inclusion as protected trees. We're simply asking for environment to be a part of how we plan our city.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Speaker with the last 4 digits, 6449, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Robin Mark. I'm the Los Angeles Program Director for the Trust for Public Land, and I'm here specifically to speak on the detrimental impact of losing 140 staff positions from within the Department of Recreation and Parks that were vacated during the pandemic. If the COVID-19 pandemic has shown us anything, it is that when things go wrong, communities of color are impacted first. The same will be true if this committee does not allow for the refilling of these 140 critical staff positions, the majority of which are frontline maintenance positions that ensure our city parks remain accessible for all residents. Many of the equity goals outlined in the budget presentation we saw today are consistent with refilling these positions, and I actually really appreciate Councilmember Blumenfield for calling out his concern about the loss of these positions. I urge you to reconsider this element of the budget as part of the critical support needed for communities in Los Angeles. Access to parks is a determinant of mental and physical health. We must consider the long-term impacts on community if these positions are not refilled, just when it's so critical for people to have an opportunity to get outside safely. Again, I urge you to protect parks and community health in Los Angeles by ensuring we do not lose these positions. I yield my time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last 4 digits, 6987, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Great. My name is Mindy Mann. I live in CD5. I sit on several boards, but today I speak to you as a private citizen. I would like to specifically address the defunding of the wildlife pilot study. Our hillsides are an important natural resource, not just for the residents who dwell there, but for all Angelenos. The Wildlife Pilot Study has submitted its recommendations after years of research and input from the community. The study is at a critical stage now. We need help and support from the city to implement the recommendations and enact them into law this year. This requires the continued funding of the existing 4 positions, not removing them from the budget. To defund this program is completely antithetical to the Green Deal that the mayor is promoting. The Wildlife Pilot Study area is part of the greater Santa Monica Mountains Recreation Area, which is the single largest urban park in the nation. We must do everything in our power to protect and preserve this unique treasure, now more than ever. We can live in the hillsides together with wildlife without destroying their habitat if we have the proper guidelines to develop responsibly. You mentioned at the beginning of your presentation this evening, or this afternoon, that this budget is a survival budget. Our city cannot survive and prosper if we do not ensure that we have environmental health, which entails preserving biodiversity and open space for all of our residents to enjoy. So I urge you to continue to fund and support the Wildlife Pilot Study and Ordinance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 2986, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Hi, everybody. It's Anna Grubin. I am a program director with the Los Angeles Neighborhood Land Trust, and I am calling to request that the Department of Recreation and Parks receive hiring authority for the 140 staff positions that were lost to early retirement during the pandemic. We are particularly concerned about positions within the land maintenance program, as these are roles that are critical to ensuring that parks are well maintained and safe. At the Land Trust, we work exclusively in underparked, under-resourced communities of color, and I have seen firsthand that when parks there have insufficient maintenance or support staff, community members feel less safe and less secure about visiting those spaces. And I appreciate Councilmember Blumenfeld for bringing this up. What I would say is that folks in these communities are already trying to access these spaces, and they are using these spaces because they are literally the only refuge that many community members living in very dense, crowded apartments throughout LA have to practice healthy living and connect with others while still maintaining social distancing. We know that Recreation and Parks is already short-staffed, so this budget move would only exacerbate the debilitating effects of park scarcity and inequity that we see throughout much of Los Angeles. So this is very much a park and environmental equity issue. So for this reason, I ask that you please allow Recreation and Parks to refill these 140 positions. The impact on our most vulnerable community members will be long-lasting. Thanks very much, and I yield.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 8008, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
Hi there, my name is Amanda Lapker, and I'm a resident, and I'm calling because I've been looking at the budget and listening to you guys speak, and it just comes down to the fact that this LAPD budget is so high, and we have so many needs in this city that need to be handled, and I don't understand why so much of this money is going to the LAPD when the residents came out and they protested and they spoke, and so many people have told you and told you and told you that we feel that it's disproportionate, and it feels like you're ignoring everything that we're saying. And I also just have to say that I find it really alarming that considering that after these protests, there's money in the budget for surveillance and for opening up a bureau for, handling protests. It's like these protesters are out there peacefully. We have not seen any evidence that the police are de-escalating. It seems like all of this is escalating. This budget does not reflect the needs of this city right now. And thank you very much. I yield my time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 4306, please dial *6 to unmute and state your name and offer your comment to the committee.
I'm Marian Dodge, Chair of the Hillside Federation. We strongly urge City Council to fund the Wildlife Pilot Study and 4 necessary positions, as you have done in past years. The project preserves critical habitat, helps prevent wildfires in our vulnerable hillsides. It preserves our vital tree canopy, which sequesters huge amounts of carbon to slow climate change. Preserving nature is essential for the mental health of people cooped up in the city. The study is very close to becoming an ordinance. We need to get that done. If we don't protect these wildlife corridors now, there will be none left to protect. Please restore the Wildlife Pilot Study funding this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 4049, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
Hi, my name is Andrew Laskin. I'm calling as a board representative of the Dixie Canyon Association, a neighborhood association in Sherman Oaks. On behalf of the board and residents of our neighborhood, we urge you to restore funding for the wildlife pilot study as part of this budget. Many of us live in this region because we love being so close to nature, but with each open space parcel that is developed in our hillside community, we experience a noticeable decline in wildlife activity as the animals' tenuous corridors are severed. We've seen that the current planning process does not place ample emphasis on preserving critical habitat and wildlife corridors, and we've been anxiously awaiting implementation of the wildlife pilot study so that the city can add some basic environmental regulation to this ecologically sensitive area. To pull funding for this program when it is so close to the finish line is to send our community back to the status quo of bulldozing first and seeing what animals happen to survive in the aftermath. To do this at the same time as Planning Director Bertoni weakens the Mulholland Design Review Board public process is a death sentence for our hillside biodiversity. We ask that you please fund the proper implementation and enforcement of the wildlife pilot study. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 0362, please dial *6, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Hi, my name is Edna Robitis. Thank you for the opportunity to provide comment on the mayor's proposed 2021 to 2022 city budget. I am asking that the budget committee restore the Recreation and Parks Department's hiring authority for 140 staff positions that were lost to early retirement during the pandemic. As we have seen this year, our parks and open spaces are critical to our mental and physical health. They have also been spaces where communities have been able to recover, host vaccine drives, and food giveaways. And yet we continue to see there are disparities within the city in terms of access to these spaces. The majority of the positions that were lost to early retirement are within the maintenance department. When parks are not maintained, residents do not feel safe or comfortable visiting them, further exacerbating inequities in access. I urge you to restore full funding to these positions to ensure that our most vulnerable communities do not lose access to their critical neighborhood park spaces. Thank you, and I yield my time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 7645, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
Okay, thank you. My name is Alan Diamond. I'm the president of the Studio City Residents Association, and we have over 1,000 households, so we represent a significant portion of the valley. Back in May 20, there was an open budget termination of the wildlife pilot study. That was a great concern, and I joined forces with Tony Tucci of CLAW and asked the council member, Paul Krikorian, and the mayor to consider an alternative rather than just blanketly terminate that program. It was so wrong. Thanks to these two gentlemen, they've managed to do something, and we ended up with, I think what we call it, an interim measure. And now, everybody has spoken so far in support of the wildlife corridor, that's why I'm here. But of note, and it should be noted that Measure HH was floated and people taxed themselves to make sure that this goes forward. People are passionate and they agreed to be taxed 68% annually for Measure HH, which was to improve local wildfire prevention, protection services, including dry brush fire, protect local open space and wildlife corridors. They taxed themselves to make sure that this could happen. So we urge everybody who can, do something, whatever you have to do, please make sure that this doesn't die on the vine and it proceeds forward, and look around and see what you can do to make sure this wildlife corridor does come to fruition, because I understand it's almost ready for the ordinance to be published and discussed further. So please do whatever you can to make this happen for us, and believe you me, You will be thanked very much so for this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Diamond. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 9792, please dial *6, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Great, sorry, I had to lower that there. Thank you. My name is Francisco Romero. I'm from Provincia Boyle Heights here in Boyle Heights. And again, I'm here to speak on today's item, which is the budget. Also in line with a lot of the folks that were calling around these 140 staff positions at the Recreation and Parks Department. You know, restoring these positions is critical to the health, well-being, and survival of communities, and especially those in the high park needs communities, such as Boyle Heights, where the park acreage is about half an acre for every 1,000 residents. So what this really means is that there's something that folks call park pressure. You know, the park needs assessment highlighted this, where there's so many of us that live here that we now are forced to use the very small park acreage spaces that we have. So there's a lot of wear and tear, there's a lot of use. So that equals 6 times more need for maintenance. And these positions that we're talking about today are connected to that. And so, you know, a healthy park average is 3.3 acres. And so that's why we're saying there's like a 6 times more need for these positions. So local community residents that visit and access these parks every day, like Hollenbach or South Park in South Central, or Paxton out there in the valley, they've been advocating for not less maintenance, but more. And so Councilman Blumenfield alluded and stated to the fact that we need to be prepared for those, because parks are the beacon where folks go to socialize safely, exercise, and seek respite amid this pandemic and beyond. So please restore the authority, right, for the recs and parks to hire and restore these essential 140 staff positions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 4704, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment for the committee.
Hi, my name is Chelsea Bell. I use the pronouns she, her, and hers. I am a removal defense attorney with the Immigrant Defenders Law Center, and I would like to comment on the mayor's budget with regards to the LA Justice Fund. LAJF has proven its success time and again in keeping Angelino families together and mitigating the harmful effects of the immigration detention and deportation system on Angelinos. Since its inception, there have been several reports provided to you all documenting the successes of and the need for LAJF. In fact, both the city and the county explicitly commissioned independent reports to evaluate the effectiveness of LAJF. And both of these reports overwhelmingly supported not just the continuation of LAJF, but a significant expansion of LAJF. And yet here we are once again begging for a budget that reflects the true scale of the problem and the realities of removal proceedings. Despite the mayor's claims that his proposed budget is focused on equity and justice, the mayor is proposing to allocate over $3 billion to LAPD, amounting to almost half of the city's total budget, while simultaneously only allocating $1 million to the LA Justice Fund, a program that since 2017 has provided literally thousands of people in immigration detention the opportunity to speak with an attorney about their case, has provided full scope legal representation to nearly 600 Angelinos, has created dozens of jobs for attorneys, paralegals, and case managers at the LAJF legal service providers, has supported Angelinos affected by the pandemic, and has connected thousands of people to city and county services. LAJF is a due process issue as much as it is a racial equity issue. Similar to the criminal punitive system, the immigration detention and deportation system disproportionately affects communities of color. If the city of Los Angeles genuinely wants to invest in racial equity and support its immigrant communities, funding LAJF is one of the most tangible and direct ways to do that. LAJF is also a program that has been supporting Angelinos directly affected by COVID, and in practice is also a pandemic recovery program. If that's not enough reason to fund LAJF in a meaningful way, I urge you to consider the fact that before LAJF, there was literally no infrastructure whatsoever for organized removal defense of Angelinos in deportation proceedings.
Thank you very
In
much.
2007,
Thank you. Your time has expired. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 5318, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment for the committee.
Hi, my name is Gina Viola. I'm calling from White People for Black Lives.
Hi, go right
The
ahead.
whole presentation by the mayor's office is straight up disingenuous. The feds are more than going to double the city's shortfall this year. It's so much nerve to claim that this is an equity and justice budget. Compared to what you're giving the LAPD to continue to terrorize communities of color, you are throwing peanuts at those communities and demanding that they be grateful. The People's Budget Coalition, led by Black Lives Matter Los Angeles, has told you 2 years in a row now what the community needs to thrive. They've presented you with data from the community. We want the LAPD defunded and communities invested in for health, well-being, and the ability to thrive. Each of you talked quite a bit about this past year's hardship due to COVID, yet you've given the biggest chunk of the budget to a department whose members don't even believe it exists. COVID has killed more LAPD this past year than anything else, and half the department is still not yet vaccinated. At the same time, these city officials are trying to ram through this LAPD budget proposal. They're hiding a full accounting of LAPD's budget. In February, the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition filed a public records lawsuit demanding LAPD's budget. LAPD and the city attorney, Mike Fuhrer, are still fighting to keep those records secret. In addition, the controller has mentioned $10 billion in reserves that the city has on hand at any given time. You've had funding to fund things like the FEMA hotel things, yet you don't do any of it. You don't do anything that the city wants, anything that the people are out in the streets demanding. We are demanding that you defund the police and reinvest in communities that have been sorely undeserved for years. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 3100, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Hi, my name is Jamie Garcia. I'm with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. And I want to build on what the prior speaker was saying in regards to last summer's rebellion. There was many eloquent speeches that were had by city council members in regards to hearing and understanding what the community needed or was calling for in regards to policing. There was, I don't even think I need to go through the stage appearance that was occurring. But in reality, when we see this current city budget, what we're seeing is basically a facade, a charade that was occurring. And so now we're looking at currently $42 million more for LAPD. With Mayor Garcetti's kind of term in office as mayor, we've seen LAPD's budget increase by $500 million. So, and in reality, what we're seeing is nothing more but more violent policing. We're seeing expansion of surveillance technology, where in 2018, the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition exposed LAPD's harm and abuse through programs like Operation Laser and PredPol, which effectively caused LAPD to dismantle these programs. So what the community is calling for and what, the city council had, charades about was that basically we want something different and something new. We have seen the results of policing. We see how violent policing is. And so we're saying stop funding policing and start putting money into what communities need. I'm a registered nurse. I've experienced what happened in Boyle Heights during the COVID pandemic. Boyle Heights was suffering before the pandemic, and then many people in that community died during the pandemic. We need money for healthcare. We need money for schools. We need money so that our communities can start to thrive, can heal from past traumas. And what you're doing is basically enhancing and expanding police technology, which only hides the violence of policing and tries to legitimize policing. So the community has been exposing this.
Thank you. I'm afraid your time has expired. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 7135, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
Go ahead, Speaker.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to go to another speaker. Speaker with the last four digits 3318, please dial *6 to unmute. State your name and offer your comment to the committee.
Hi, yes, this is Richie Sergenko from the People's City Council. I'm calling in support of the People's Budget LA, the Black Lives Matter LA-led coalition. I want to echo what other people have said on this call, that we do not need more money going to the police. And I don't need to be Kenneth Mejia or a CPA to see that budget and see that $3 billion going to the police is absolutely too much. When homelessness, housing, that all gets less than 10% of the budget, but LAPD gets more than a quarter of the budget. People are calling in about green spaces and ecological studies. Well, the reason why we don't have money for that in Los Angeles is because our city council and our mayor give $3 billion to the police. And you may be wondering why. And, Monica Rodriguez says this is an outstanding budget. You want to know how much money Monica Rodriguez has received from the LAPD Police Association, the LAPPL? She's received or she's accepted over $110,000 in contributions from the LAPPL. So, of course, she thinks it's outstanding. And LAPD has shot 15 people in this year. They're proving that they do not deserve this budget and do not cower in the face of these fucking violent gang members. There's 15 people this year, and you saw what they did to protesters last year. How can any of these things result in a $3 billion budget? We need to reimagine what public safety looks like. We have callers calling in saying how important green spaces are. Green spaces are a tremendous value to the collective mental health and the health of our communities. And that's what reimagining public safety looks like. Taking care of our people.
Thank you. Your time has expired.
I heard.
Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 7135, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment for the committee.
Good afternoon. My name is Garrett Weinstein, and I'm a project analyst with the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority. And I'm calling in specifically to ask that the council reinstate funding for the wildlife pilot study and wildlife corridor pilot ordinance that was removed from the draft budget. To date, the wildlife pilot study is really the city's only contribution towards maintaining biodiversity and protecting endangered and threatened species in the eastern Santa Monica Mountains. And it's a crucial part of implementing the portion of Los Angeles' new Green Deal sustainability plan. It's one of the milestones to set biodiversity targets and pilot LA's first wildlife corridor. The MRCA has been working with city staff as much as possible to provide them with data that they can use in this wildlife study. And it would be a shame at this point to see all that work and tens of thousands of public dollars that have been invested in this program go to waste with the abrupt termination of this program. The MRCA may submit additional comments in the future, but for now I yield my time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 8895, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Mullen, and I use pronouns she, her, hers, representing Strength United, serving SPA 2 constituents in the San Fernando Valley. Thank you for working to build a budget that is an ethical document, doubling down on funding for our homeless, housing insecure, and vulnerable Angelenos. I thank you for adding the line items for reimagining public safety and racial and social justice, and we look to see a larger increase for alternative responses to emergency response and community-based organizations. As an agency supporting survivors of interpersonal violence, such as domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking, many clients come to us homeless or experiencing housing insecurity, and that is one of the #1 issues our caseworkers attempt to address while serving clients. During the pandemic, the emotional, healthcare, and economic needs of our clients were drastically heightened. We were proud to be a service provider of Project Safe Haven, serving over 60 families, including over 140 children. And I ask that Project Room Key keep flexibility for survivors of interpersonal violence and build in funding for essential items and transportation for individuals staying in hotels. Thank you, Chair Krikorian and fellow council members, for your time and dedication to your constituents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 7543, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
Hi, good afternoon, committee. Thank you for having me. My name is Lionel Modest from CD6. Calling because I analyzed the budget proposed by the mayor, and even though there's some positive changes and increasing the amount of funding for homelessness, but compared to the local police department's budget, it is still not even half. It's like, I would say 1/4 or a fraction. And I strongly believe that we need more open spaces like parks and recreation because, you know, we live in a city with thousands, millions of people, and during the pandemic and stress and anxiety and depression, we need more access to open parks, hiking trails, and we need to maintain those parks. So we need to increase funding for parks and recreation and rescue facilities for everyone, including the unhoused community. We need to increase funding for programs that addresses mental health, counseling, and recreation. Basically, pro-social activities, things that would keep the communities together, work together, and reduce violence through pro-social activities, because sociologists have written articles about this. So we need to increase more funding, divert funding from the local police department towards programs and services that will unite our communities, pro-social activities that will help reduce the amount of crime and poverty so we could live a happy life. We have to work together, and I've been participating throughout last year with the city council public meetings, and I encourage the city government to do something that will work with the people and to increase more funding for spaces, services, and pro-social programs. Please, I'm asking please, and you know, libraries, things like that will educate our communities and things like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 3403, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment for the committee.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Yes, my name is Kim. I'm with Black Lives Matter Los Angeles, and I'm calling because I just wanted to say I am extremely disappointed in this budget. I'm extremely disappointed that this city is trying to spend more money on the police when, like everyone has previously said, the whole world spoke last year and protesting and saying that we do not want more police. We are tired of living in a police state where the police are getting more and more militarized. The money that you're spending in this budget is our money. It's not your money. It's not the mayor's money. So I don't understand why you wouldn't listen to the people, the constituents, that are telling you how they would like their money to be spent. The People's Budget LA is a survey of people telling you what they want their money spent on. And it's as if we're being, you know, treated as if we're guests in a home, when we're not guests. This is our house. We're the ones that are funding the city. So why are we not being heard when we're telling you we don't want the police in our neighborhoods? We want community services for our people. That's what we want. And we want, for Black people, we don't want to study about reparations. We want reparations. All the study is going to do is meaning when we get to this time next year with a new budget, we'll say, oh, we never really did anything with the study. Just saying something doesn't mean it's going to happen. We learned that when we were told we were going to get 150 million or 250 million and then away from the police, and then the mayor ended up taking it back. So, you know, anything that you guys are saying is really up for debate of whether or not it's really going to happen. I urge you to use the People's Budget LA, listen to what the people are telling you they want done with their money instead of making your own decisions and doing what you want to do with it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 0969, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment for the committee.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Perfect. Good afternoon. My name is Mariana Magaña, and I'm calling on behalf of the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights, also known as CHIRLA. We're calling to express our just disappointment at the one-time $1 million allocation on behalf of Mayor Garcetti for the LA Justice Fund. It is astonishing, as mentioned before, that despite report after report proving the success of this program and extensive advocacy efforts for the past 5 years, the city of LA continues to fail and not fully commit to a program that every single day fights against the white supremacist immigration system we have in this country. No matter who is in office at the federal level, so as long as the immigration system exists, folks will continue to be detained and deported. To truly build a city that includes everyone, we cannot continue to invest in the immigrant community through a piecemeal approach. We must commit to the sustainability of the LAJF long term. We're constantly told that there isn't funding for these programs, but there could be if the city moved to defund LAPD. We also stand in full solidarity with the people's budget. Stop increasing funds to the police who continuously harasses and murders people of color. The demand is clear. Defund LAPD and invest in the community living in Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 7685, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment for the committee.
Good afternoon, Budget and Finance Committee members. This is Wendy Butts, CEO of the LA Conservation Corps. I wanted to first thank the mayor, Matt Szabo, and his team for including our Clean and Green program funding in the fiscal year 21-22 budget at fiscal year 19-21 levels. I'm sorry, 19-20 levels. We look forward to building back to our pre-pandemic participation levels in this program with this funding and taking part in the Clean LA Jobs program to support new Corps members in our program. Thank you to all of you for your new and continued support of additional cleanup and other environmental and community projects in your districts. All of us at the Corps are so grateful to your support throughout the pandemic, and we look forward to scaling and serving more young adults during the coming months and years. We couldn't do what we do without you. I would also like to support the requests of our park partners across the city and advocate for the restoration of Rec and Parks Hiring Authority for the staff positions lost during the pandemic. These are exactly the kinds of jobs we're preparing Corps members to fill, and the parks that would be affected by fewer people to care for them are exactly the spaces where our Corps members experience nature in their own communities. Thank you for your consideration, and thank you again for your support and partnership.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 0134, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
Hello?
Hi. Go right ahead.
Hi, this is Nicholas Emmons, and I'm a resident of Council District 13. I'm calling to tell you that Mayor Garcetti's budget is no good. People have shown up in the streets time and again to demand that we defund the police, yet Mayor Garcetti wants to increase their budget by $40 million. A recent Loyola Marymount study found that 2/3 of Angelinos want to redirect more LAPD funding, and 1/3 want to completely dismantle LAPD. I think we can all agree that Los Angeles is facing significant problems. These are problems that we can't police our way out of. We need to invest in communities, not cops. Policing is not a solution for homelessness. Policing is not a solution for transportation and infrastructure. Policing is not a solution for healthcare and mental health care. Policing is not a solution for lack of green spaces. Policing is not a solution for housing affordability. Please reject this budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 0899, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
Hello, my name is Stacy Dawson Stearns. How are you today?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
All right. Okay, so y'all, you seem unable to recognize the parallels between your outrage and the righteous outrage of your constituents. You are outraged about the violent war in Artsakh, but you stand with Artsakh. You stand with Armenia. You display your righteous anger about wars overseas, but you lack the self-awareness to know you can do something about human rights violations right here at home. So I'm going to spell it out for you. Support of Garcetti's budget equals support of an oppressive and dangerous regime. Garcetti's LAPD is an army. The militarization of police forces that is occurring all over is inextricably linked with the global white supremacy movement, which is inextricably linked with the failed coup at the Capitol, which is linked with Trump and QAnon followers who are linked with the anti-vaxxers and COVID deniers. This is all LAPD too. It's kind of funny how they capture all of this. But they are inextricably linked with the Proud Boys, who are inextricably linked with the Klan, who are linked with the NRA, who are linked to the daily mass shootings we experience in America. The NRA is inextricably linked with the LAPPL. The LAPPL is linked to all police protection leagues throughout the nation, who are linked to the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund, who are linked to people like Kyle Rittenhouse and Derek Chauvin. The LAPPL is linked to the LAPD, and they call the shots. The LAPPL director, Jamie McBride's daughter, Tony McBride, is linked to Hollywood and to the gun lobby. Tony McBride is an LAPD officer who murdered Daniel Hernandez last April while he was experiencing a mental health crisis and holding a box cutter. As a spokesmodel for Terran Industries and an outspoken Back the Blue and MAGA girl, Tony sells commemorative coins with the LAPD logo on them. Racists collect the commemorative coins sold by officers of the law to commemorate state-sanctioned hate crime murders. You can do something about it. Jamie McBride is inextricably linked to Chief Michael Moore and Police Commissioner Steven Sobroff. He calls the shots, and that's why the commission ruled Tony McBride's John Wick-style murder of an Angelino in policy. Sobroff is a developer, and he's enjoyed his lucrative deal with Garcetti and Moore. Police protect property, and Garcetti's Tax Planning Commission is happy to greenlight luxury development.
Thank you. Your time's expired. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 4332, please dial *6 to unmute. State your name and offer your comment for the committee.
Go ahead, speaker. Hello?
Last four digits 4332, please dial *6 to unmute and offer your comments. I will move to another caller, Mr. Chair. Speaker with the last four digits 6732, please dial *6 to unmute and state your name and offer your comments to the committee.
Hi, my name is Shakir Rahman. I'm a resident of CD6 and an attorney and a community organizer with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. As a lot of people have been telling you, hundreds of thousands of people last summer took the streets with a very clear demand: defund the police. And as others have also told you, the claim by the mayor's team that they're cutting the budget, that they're cutting LAPD's budget by 5% is a lie. That lie is plainly disprovable. Just look at page 151 of the budget proposal. It says that LAPD is spending $1.72 billion this year. That's what you approved last June. And the mayor is seeking a $40 million increase over that. Even the LA Times ran a story last week titled "Garcetti's Proposed City Budget Increases Spending for LAPD by 3%. So you have to ask, why would the mayor's team come tell you this brazen, disprovable lie? Well, a big part of it is that the blank check that LAPD has always been used to getting. LAPD provides zero accounting of its full $3.1 billion budget. In February, the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition filed a public records lawsuit to try to get those records, to try to get a just basic accounting of what are you spending all this money on. City Attorney Mike Feuer has been fighting that lawsuit, claiming on the one hand that those kinds of budget records just don't exist, and on the other hand that they do exist, but they don't have to share them. Those are the kinds of games that the city has always played to hide the cost of LAPD's violence. For example, without those records, we have no idea how much LAPD spends on the entirety of their helicopter fleet. We have no idea how much this new budget will devote to Palantir, a very expensive data platform that both LAPD and the Trump administration have used to target people for surveillance, for deportations, for harassment. If you care about those details, we ask you to commit to cutting LAPD's budget. We ask you to strike out LAPD's technologies of harm, including Palantir and other surveillance weapons. The controller's records show that the city paid Palantir $12.5 million from 2012 to 2021. But again, the budget records that are in front of you, they don't say how much they're going to spend this year. They're just asking for a $3.1 billion check. We ask you to use the money from defunding LAPD to fund the things that actually keep us safe, that actually keep us healthy, things like housing, healthcare.
Thank you. Your time's expired. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 0850, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comments for the committee.
Hi, my name is Lydia Ponce, and I'm calling from Venice, also known as Saigna, the land of unceded lands of the Tongva. Well, it's that time of year again for the city of Los Angeles, the flim flam hoodwink bamboozle budget time. And if you had a community oversight of aunties, mamas, and grannies, they would do a better job of putting something together that appears and is and lives honorably, equitably as a budget for the whole community. I say that you need to go back to the formula, the correct formula for algebra, and solve for why. Why do you think that you get away with this again? Why is it that you try to exist in this job that you have with no honor, no honesty, and you want to somehow budget the normal pre-pandemic that was full of white supremacy, and the community is not falling for it? We've made it very easy. I've taken several of the survey questions very seriously and to heart. I felt heard with the people's budget. And I'm over here at a park in Venice where a 10-year-old autistic boy got mauled by a dog. We need to keep the dog separate from the people, and we need to make sure that the people have a park and a place and a space to thrive. It's our medicine. It's the air. It's the salt air right off the ocean, the green space, the trees. We've got parrots flying over our heads and a hawk nesting over here at the park. So I'm for that, and I'm not for the bamboozle and the hoodwink and the flim-flam y'all offer every year. So what do we know? Black lives, they matter here. 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 Pass the people's budget. Thank you. I see my time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 7129, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment for the committee.
Hi, this is Tyann. Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Great, thank you. I support the people that have called in today. Many callers asking for support for the wildlife study to continue. It makes no sense to stop it. Absolutely. The people who've called in to restore the jobs, the 140 jobs with Parks and Rec, absolutely. And obviously, mass amounts of people that are calling in to support defunding LA and to oppose this astronomical amount of money that has been budgeted towards the police yet again. So, you know, I want to thank all of the people who've taken time to call in today. And I don't think I need to restate the many, many wonderful points that have already been made by all of these people. I just want to speak to the committee and say, and just remind you, we're living in a different time. You know, we're living in the time of George Floyd. We're living in the time of protest. We're living in the time where the public trusts activists, organizers, and protesters more than it trusts city officials. I myself am an unemployed person who has spent 5 hours of my day listening to this call and waiting for my opportunity to speak because I know that this is so important. We only have 2 opportunities to speak on it. And instead, I needed to spend these 5 hours today calling the unemployment office a million times trying to get through to figure out why I can't get my unemployment payment. So I just want you to know that the public at large, you're starting to lose our trust. And not just starting, obviously this is an ongoing issue with public officials and government officials, but you have an opportunity to make a change. We're living in a different time. It is time now to respond to the public. And so just because on YouTube it says there's only been 120 people watching this meeting, I just want you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 1299, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comments to the committee.
Go right ahead, speaker.
Last four digits 1299, star 6 to unmute.
Good afternoon, everybody. Could y'all hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Awesome. My name is Michelle, and I am with the Invest Youth campaign, and I would like to give public comment on item number 1.
Go right ahead.
I wanted to give a call and uplift the people's budget, and I also wanted to address that although the mayor is allocating $1.1 million to create the city's first ever youth development department, in the budget, we still need to ensure that there's a long-term planning and investment done for the youth development department, because the $1.1 million is only the seed money to get it started, but we still need to fully fund the department. We need to have a centralized department to support us in receiving the programming and services we need all over LA for our youth. We need y'all's support to make sure that that happens and see it reflected in our city's budget. And this is the reason why we need to fully fund the youth development department. I also want to urge Council Member Paul Kukorian to get our Youth Development Task Force report and motion heard in your Budget and Finance Committee, because it's great that we're going to have a youth development department, but we need LA City Council to honor and use the Youth Development Task Force report as a blueprint to create LA City's Youth Development Department, because in our report, we call for a 24/7 youth hubs, arts, and holistic investment. And the task force and so many of our youth and community worked hard last year for 7 months to get youth and community input from all of LA's youth to hear what kind of programs and services they want to see in this youth department. So we want to work with y'all to make sure that this report and blueprint is honored and that we're working in collaboration with y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 7006, please dial star 6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment for the committee.
Go right ahead, speaker.
7006, star 6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment for the committee. Mr. Chair, I'll move to another speaker for now. Speaker with the last four digits 9204, please dial star 6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment for the committee.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
All right, my name's Adam, Adeline, and Otis. We're here again, Paul, and nothing's changed. And you gosh darn politicians still playing the same old game. When Garcetti mentions money and police, we know it's actual public safety that's constantly getting cleaned. It's time to defund the LAPD. Defund the LAPD, policing steals the safety of communities. Please fund the LAPD. It's time to defund the LAPD.
All right, thank you. We'll take, we're past 5 o'clock now. Let's go ahead and take 2 more speakers, and then we'll conclude.
Speaker with the last four digits 7006, please dial star 6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment to the committee.
Go right ahead, speaker. All right, let's take the next speaker, please.
Speaker with the last four digits 2324, please dial star 6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comments for the committee.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Excellent. Hello, my name is Sarah Davenport, and I am a District 13 constituent. I'd first like to address the tardiness of the start time of this meeting. It means that while you left the remaining time for public comment, it shortened our public comment It's a brazen attempt, really, to silence constituents, considering we only have 3 attempts to comment on this budget. I'd also like to echo what so many of us have already said. It appears like we're living in a failed government state. How many times do we have to get on the phone and beg you to listen to what we've already begged you to do? How many times do me and my friends personally have to get batoned and shot with rubber bullets just to prove that the police need no more funding? It seems the more that we call out the fact that different people have received hundreds of thousands of dollars from police unions and things, it's apparent that you no longer care about our wishes. You really don't. I really don't understand why you're even having public comment anymore if you won't listen to what we're asking you to do. The calls are clear. Defund the police. Do not propose a single budget any longer that does anything short of defund the police. We are not asking for a short decrease in funding. That might have been 10 people in the streets. We had 10,000 people in the streets. We want a large decrease in funding. We are working toward abolition. And the more you push us by not defunding when we ask, you are going to get stronger and stronger responses. Please listen to your constituents. Flip the paradigm. Start being actually progressive and just as you say. You know what's progressive? Doing something outside of your comfort zone. Taking 90% of budgeting and putting it toward community. Go big. Go big. Don't go home. Right now, that's what you're at risk at. We are happy to vote every single one of you out if you continue to not listen to us.
Thank you.
Defund LAPD.
Thank you. And let's take one final speaker.
Speaker with the last 4 digits 1108, please dial *6 to unmute, state your name, and offer your comment for the committee.
Hi, Daniel Gus. I want to know why we, the taxpayers, are subsidizing Best Friends, which consistently rakes in excess of $50 million a year. We're giving them a free building. We're giving them free utilities. We're giving them free security. We're giving them free everything and animals. And by the way, the city of Los Angeles isn't collecting from them the licenses that they're selling on behalf of LA Animal Services. Why, after all of these years, are we still subsidizing this super wealthy charity with its own jet? And by the way, while we're at it, why did Mr. Koretz gamble more than $1 million of donated funds for animals at LA Animal Services on an unknown, unproven marketing firm to raise funds, despite it having no background in marketing or fundraising, and it doesn't even have a business address? So why is the city still subsidizing a wealthy charity and gambling more than $1 million in donated money? Because if the donors find out that that money was lost or used inefficiently, the budget's going to have to cover the gamble of Mr. Koretz. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much. And that will conclude our public speakers for this afternoon. It's now a little bit, about 7 minutes after 5. And members, I want to thank you all for your continuing attentiveness and participation in today's meeting. We'll be continuing this meeting tomorrow at 1 p.m. And our first item of business will be receiving a report from the city administrative officer. So until tomorrow at 1 p.m., this meeting is in recess.